Podcast Season 2, Episode 1. Great jumping on point.
Nice.
Season 2, Episode 1.
I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
I'm Scott.
And we get together every couple weeks and talk about pop culture and comic books mostly. Comic books are the root of it, but we usually start with some like TV, some movies maybe, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some news.
I don't know if there's any real big news, except for the fact that they're talking about...
Seemed like a trailer came out that I cared about.
Quiet Place 2?
No, I didn't watch that.
No, okay.
It did come out though.
But the trailer did.
It did. You didn't like Quiet Place 1. Oh, I
did.
don't think we're recording. Hold on, we gotta start over. Oh, it didn't work. All right, Evil Squid Comics Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
I'm Scott.
And we get together every couple weeks, talk about comic books and pop culture type stuff and
You
movies
just have a
and
deja
TV
vu
shows.
feeling.
It does
It was
feel like
weird.
that. Matrix,
So-
man.
Anyway, so yeah, we have a Facebook page, Evil Squid Comics. Check it out. You can follow our podcast live if you're listening to this, on the podcast
Enjoy
Right.
all the
app. You can
cool
always
extras.
do it live.
and
You would see all the
issues.
mistakes we
Yeah, the
made.
mistakes.
Not that I edit this at all, by
Yeah.
the way. But anyway, so yeah, it's a new year. We're pumped.
Star Wars, I think they were talking about that they may go to the Knights of the Old.
Oh, in the next
in
film,
the
I heard.
next
I
type
read
of
that.
things, yeah.
I think
So
that's a wise move.
that was kind of the news, area of things.
I think that's a
I think so.
safe.
Well, and they were also
Way to
talking
go.
about like Kevin, was it Feige or whatever, who does the Marvel, who kind of manages that, to maybe comment over to try to help with the Star Wars side of it.
Well, they need some help.
I would
Do they?
tend to agree with that. I don't know.
Well,
I think
as
that
much as I enjoyed the latest trilogy, it felt like a little like a ship without a rudder. A little
Yeah.
bit. Like
But-
it didn't have a very good. Like Kevin Feige is good at kind of having a little bit of
I
steering.
don't get that.
What's
I
that?
don't get that.
Get what?
That everybody's like, oh, it just didn't feel like it was a ship without a rudder. And
Well, I felt
number
like
2 broke all the rules of Star Wars, and then they had to come
We're
in.
just
and-
going right
and
Is that
clean
where
up
we're going, right? To
everything.
Rise of Skywalker?
Like, I don't understand. Like,
Well, then I can continue with
how
the
was
Mandalorian later.
how was the second movie so bad and so different? It wasn't.
it wasn't bad or
No,
different.
it wasn't
It
bad.
just
But why does everybody always say that? Like the
Well,
last
because a
Jedi,
lot- a lot-
because a lot of things that Force Awakens was setting up, The Last Jedi did like a left or a U-turn on it a
180
bit.
on him a bit.
like
Or
what?
180.
Give me a specific.
Like Rey,
Rey.
like they were trying to say, oh, she's somebody important. We don't know who her parents are, and then it's like, they're nobodies. It's like,
Snoke.
okay, Snoke, he's this big bad guy. Oh, he gets wiped out easily, and he's dead. And then turns out he's
Old
nobody
man
very
Luke.
important.
A lot of people did not like Old Man Luke, and especially that part in there when he's talking about how the Jedi got too prideful and whatever the heck else and
Yeah.
got their asses kicked.
But the Jedi's have always been too prideful.
Hey,
that happened in the first.
My thing
in
is,
the
is that
prequels. That's
you're
how they-
you're preaching to the choir here. I honestly loved Last Jedi. Any part with Luke and Rey in there,
Yes,
I thought
love
that
Last
was.
Jedi.
I
Great
thought there was a
movie.
lot that was good. I wouldn't go quite that far.
I love
Last
that
Jedi
movie.
has some issues.
It has some issues. But
You
not
know,
many.
Canto Blight or whatever
It's
the hell it
stupid.
is
Yeah,
not very
you
good.
can take that out. but everything
what's
else is
Canto
great.
Blight?
That's the
That's the
casino
place
planet.
where they go
And,
to the
you know,
casino.
I
He gets a little political with his whole little thing with Benicio del Toro and how he's selling crap to both sides of the
Yeah,
thing.
a little bit,
he
but-
has to get a little.
That's
nudge and-
political. Then the
Oh, yeah.
Mandalorian was political because he did the exact same thing.
Complain about that.
He didn't really complain about that I know of.
Who?
He swapped sides.
It didn't
We
come
were talking
across
about
as
that before.
preachy. It came across as a little preachy.
There is in the Last Jedi. He has a little. What do you want to say? Soliloquy, whatever.
Monologue.
Monologue. There you go. Benicio del Toro's character,
Oh, yeah.
TikTok or whatever the hell his
Okay.
name was, and he's talking about the fact that
I get
these
that.
guys
Can
blow
he
each
get a
other
solo
up
movie?
in this type of thing. What's that?
I don't know, Benicio del Toro solo movie.
There you go. I don't know. I
Anyway,
didn't like his
I don't
character
know.
much.
This is what
But-
on the internet, everything. Oh, the Last Jedi was horrible.
Oh, sweet. I can complain about Star Wars
guy,
people soon.
that guy, whatever, Rain or whatever the hell.
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan,
They're idiots.
he's
Okay.
horrible. Like
No,
it's the
yeah,
worst
they're
movie
And then go
ever.
see Knives Out. Knives Out is fantastic. Go back and watch Looper. Looper is a very good movie. Go watch Brick. It's a pretty good movie.
What's
You know?
funny because like
Ryan Johnson is a very good filmmaker.
It's just terrible Star
he
Wars
tried to do
fans
some
is what
twists.
it is.
Well, the problem so to the point of the rudderless type of thing, they brought in somebody, a big name, J.J. Abrams, to kick it off.
Right.
He set things up, but my problem is that after watching 2 and 3, or 8 and 9, I get the feeling that while he set stuff up and maybe gave some people some ideas, they didn't plot shit out at all. They just let the next guy pick it up and do the,
Whatever
what
he
the storytelling like, and he picked the next one
It's
up.
like a game of telephone.
It really is.
So?
No. Okay, so they bring in another big name, a guy who's an up-and-coming director, Ryan Johnson. Let him tell his tale. He told something that maybe that critics loved, but the general Star Wars public, I guess, didn't really like it
A
because,
small faction.
yeah, but very vocal.
Very vocal faction.
Yeah,
Right.
that killed the Rotten Tomatoes and made a lot
Yeah.
of people, divisive on this whole movie and everything. But here again, it basically set some things up where the next damn director, Colin, what was it, Trevor? or
Colin
something?
Trevorrow.
Yeah, so he basically said, I don't know what the fuck to do. And they were going, having debates with Lucasfilm and all this other type stuff, and he ends up getting kicked out. Now, I think it was
He
somewhat.
left.
Yeah, I think some of it was that he just said, I'm leaving. And so then Lucasfilm's like, and, Captain Kennedy's like, oh, fuck, what the hell do we do? And they go back and they find J.J. Abrams to
Say,
bring it in.
please come and
That's
fix
right.
it.
Hey, you had an idea when you set up the first one of this trilogy. Can you come in and finish this off? So he came in.
He's
They
like,
had a-
Ryan Johnson screwed up everything I did.
Well, he didn't say that. But
He didn't
Ryan
say that, but he did.
Ryan Johnson changed a lot of things around. So then J.J. Abrams is like, how the hell do I fix some of this or get around to what I wanted to? And so he has to pack an hour of this film, Rise of Skywalker, with all sorts of freaking bing bang, type stuff, like these little freaking skits to try to set up crap for what he wants to do in the last half of his film. Now, because of that, it's back to your rudderless theory here, of things, of which, and plus, because The Last Jedi was so divisive among the fans, they had a brain trust, I think, of people, not only J.J. Abrams, but Catherine Kennedy, probably a bunch of other people from the Disney type of things that are saying, oh, you better do this, or you better do that, or do this, so that the Rise of Skywalker comes out going, what the hell do we just watch? This is kind of a fucked up, weird trilogy in which it starts off pretty strong, but then it kind of takes this weird turn, and then it takes yet another turn that's all this mishmash mammal of stuff. So
I don't see it at all.
you don't feel that?
You don't feel
I feel like
doesn't feel it.
why it sounds like I really hate Rise of Skywalker, and I don't hate it. It is a good. It's a Star Wars movie, and it's kind of fits into how Star Wars is, kind of the soap opera-ish, type of stuff. But the fact is, that first hour is not good filmmaking. And that's what I think I had the bigger problem with, type things. It gets back to some of the initial trilogy of things, type stuff, where Lucas can't write dialogue at all. He's got great ideas, and his directing style is just do that, but with more feeling, or whatever the heck else, type
But
things.
that's Star Wars.
But it is Star Wars to a point. But that's what we forgive. But if you look back at Empire Strikes Back and even say Return of the Jedi, those actors came a long way and they could really do some stuff. Now, I'm not saying the same thing, even in the prequels in a way. Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of does the same thing. Ewan McGregor. He gets a hell of a lot better by the third one than he was in the first. But I think he did that himself. I don't know what the hell was up with Natalie Portman. She just seemed to be a freaking piece of wood the whole time. So, but still, there's some of those problems there of poor directing. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
that's
J.J.
poor
Abrams.
directing because those are good actors.
That's
you
right.
had good actors.
I think it was the writing too.
The
Well,
writing,
I think-
writing is terrible in the prequels.
The writing's
in the
terrible for the
prequels.
prequels, and the writing's not necessarily
Like,
it's
The
a little.
plot and the story is good in the prequels. I think the dialogue is just bad.
The ideas.
That's what I mean. The
Well, you said the
dialogue.
writing,
Well,
right? And dialogue.
The dialogue.
Yeah,
The
his
dialogue
overall,
is
but
terrible.
here's the
Because
thing.
Lucas
He
is
had
not a good dialogue.
Lucas. No, he's horrible.
Well,
But he
I'm
had
wa-
a good
I
outline
rewatched
and an
the
overall
second one,
idea.
and I'm like, how do they say these lines with a straight face? Like,
Yeah.
but they're good actors. It's Ewan McGregor. It's Natalie Portman. It's Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson.
Well, that's
It's,
what Harrison Ford Lucas is like. You can write this stuff, but we can't. Doesn't
We
mean
can't
we
say
can
it.
say it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of that type stuff. But I guess where I'm going back to the Rise of Skywalker is, well,
What's the first hour? What's the first hour?
They
That's
just
terrible?
bounce
the
around
first
from planet
hour,
to planet.
the first hour, I think I counted the second time around. They visit like freaking 6 different damn places, type things in a way, and they're because everything is like.
because it's rushed. It doesn't
It's
feel like
very
you really,
rushed. If you look at the very first dogfight that happens, right there out of the gate when they're trying to get those things and whatever
the
else.
Bombardiers.
you think of Last Jedi?
No, yeah,
that's what we're talking
No,
about.
I'm talking about Rise of Skywalker. I've done skip by Last Jedi. Last Jedi has its issues. We can go back around to that. But
Oh, I thought we were
my-
talking about
no,
Last Jedi.
My problem is Rise of.
The
Part
first
of it
hour
is the
of
fact
Rise
that
of
when
Skywalker.
you get to Rise of Skywalker, the first hour in particular, that it just feels like to me it's a jumbled mess because he's trying to catch up everything that Ryan Johnson did differently than he wanted to do, J.J. Abrams.
So you can get back to
So
what,
he can get back
so
to
he can
where
tie it all up.
So he can tie it all up to where he originally thought his trilogy was going to go, which is essentially the last hour
It's not
of
that
Rise of
hard of a
Skywalker.
movie. It starts out, you find out that Palpatine's back. He's the bad guy.
Yes, but did you really need to go around finding some goofy ass wayfinder, type things or whatever the hell
Well, yeah,
else?
because
When
they had to
Kylo
get
Ren
to
has one of them, you have to go into this area or whatever the hell else that happens to be the ship that took her, parents, so that you can start setting this type of thing up for who her real parents really are, and kind of foreshadow the fact that she's Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter or whatever, with the little lightning strike of almost killing Chewie or whatever the hell happens there, which is kind of nonsense. Then you got to have this thing, where you show, oh, Jedi have healing power, because you got to set this shit up for the later half of the movie. So everything that's happening in this first hour is like bam, 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 because they got to try to set up what's going to happen in the last hour. If you watch that last hour, it goes a whole hell of a lot slower, because he's actually pacing that thing out to what he originally thought he was going to have. In that first hour is essentially, let me try to get everything set up so everybody can know where I want to go, and have some foreshadowing of why this makes sense at the end.
It should have been the second movie.
You guys,
It really was.
You guys detail.
I don't know if I
you
detail
care
it.
about the details
Maybe-
way too much. Just go in and watch the fucking movie, and it's a good movie. I don't care how fast
fun.
it's good that it goes fast.
See, that's my problem. Is I do
fun.
not
Boom, boom,
feel.
boom, boom,
I do
boom.
not
It
feel
goes
like,
fast, and I'm like, ooh, this is fun. This is happening. This is happening.
and that's good.
And I laugh and I have fun, and I'm like,
I
this
just
is
did
a
not
good
feel
movie.
like it was a very well made movie. Is where I go back around to.
Yeah.
A lot of times in Star Wars, I forgive the stupid shit that happens and some stupid dialogue, but it's
not paced for a
it's
while.
the fact that the pacing is all screwy and whatever the hell else that starts throwing me to where I feel like it's just not a very good film. As well as just having dumb dialogue and everything else. I mean, as it keeps going, my oldest daughter thought, some of the stuff, was pretty stupid. Hell, the whole damn ending where, Rey's dead, Ben comes back, kisses her, and then he dies. She laughed at, type thing. So it's not. Some of it is just that it's Star Warsy, goofy, which to a point you can forgive. But the fact that the whole damn film seemed a lot of that way because of some strange pacing and whatever the heck else it's doing, it gives it to, at least for the final movie of this big 9-episode arc. If you're really getting to that point, it just didn't stick the landing to me. Return of the Jedi, for as goofy as it is and everything, had fairly decent pacing. It was action oriented. It was building on those characters, this type of stuff, and it had a hell of a payoff at the end. And when you met that Emperor and you had that whole throne room scene, they spent the time with it. It all did very well. You felt like you were in dire straits, and then the good guys win. It was a great ending to that whole saga. When you got to this one now, it was like, oh shit, we better throw in this, and throw everything in the kitchen sink in there. It's got some good parts. Don't get me wrong. I sound like I hate this, but it's really got some really good things. But as your anchor, your finale to everything, it's just not a good film.
It's
The
the
other
wrong
thing-
story that they should have told anyway.
I agree.
The whole trilogy is the wrong story.
Well, I
what
would agree with
want.
that.
That's what I was gonna say. So, like, the first 6 movies still feel like a complete story, and this last trilogy it's the same
Oh, I
story.
would
It feels
agree.
just tacked
It's
on. Is that
tacked
kind of
on.
what you were saying? How it doesn't.
Well-
they told the wrong story for it to be a continuation of the first 6 movies. They really did tell the wrong story because it doesn't feel like part of the original saga. It feels like just another story that they.
You
like
took
new
a
trilogy.
6-episode Skywalker saga and you turned it into a 9-episode Palpatine saga.
Yeah, and it's like this last trilogy didn't really need to exist, obviously, and it doesn't really enhance the initial 6
Oh
movie
gosh, no.
story,
Yeah.
right? Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, the time jump. So from Jedi
To Force Awakens,
Force
there's
Awakens
a
is
good
like,
time
what,
jump.
35,
30 years.
32
But come
years.
on, you get the same thing from episode 3 to episode 4. I mean, it's not 30,
It's a
but it's
time
like
jump.
20.
Yeah, it's like 20.
Right, but you're continuing Darth Vader to this. So
Correct.
at the end of Return of the Jedi, they beat the Empire.
Very true.
And-
Everything's tied up in
and
this nice little bow.
Luke is the new. He's the new Jedi, and
Yep.
he's gonna start a school.
Correct.
And then we go 30 years ahead of time, and we've got the new bad guy, and the Empire's back, but we don't know where Luke is, and that's
Yeah.
part of the story. And then Luke is like, "Oh, well, I took Han and Leia's son, and I started this Jedi temple, and then everything went wrong, and then Ben turned on me, and let's see that
The
fucking
story.
movie.
No,
Let's
it
see
didn't.
that goddamn
Yeah,
movie.
because
Where they stop,
Yeah.
and then
And
they
in the
come back.
meantime, you can see this.
and then
You
we
can
can
see the
have-
Emperor floating around in deep space and do a Mary Poppins into some damn ship, and so at least we have a reason to know that the Emperor's still around.
Right, and we
You
can
know?
have
Take your time,
We can
to
have
your
the
point.
Empire Strikes Back movie can be the second movie. Force Awakens was fine. Like you introduce
Oh,
the
yeah.
new Empire, but then you got to figure out.
You introduce
who-
some really good
You got to
characters.
find out who Kylo Ren is. You know what I mean? Like you got to figure out who he is, and then you do the second story where you go back and you show that the Jedi. I mean, I want to see the Jedi. Like I want to see him fail at the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then it makes more sense rather than a 5-second flashback, and then Luke remembers it a different way than Kylo remembers it. That's what I mean. Like I wanted the continuation of that, and this, just like you said, it isn't.
yeah,
It is. It's tied to those characters, and they're wrapping up those characters, but it's not the story that I wanted to get.
yeah, he did an okay job of continuing it, but at the end of the day, it still feels tacked on, and it feels more of a rehash rather. Whereas the first three, the prequels and the original trilogy, they feel like when they're all together, they feel like a 6-movie saga. This doesn't feel like a 9-movie
Well,
saga.
to me, it doesn't really. I mean, it sort of does, but I mean,
If you take it as the story of Darth Vader,
the middle
I think it
three.
works.
Well, yeah, but the middle three are the story, and
Very
you
true.
you start with the first three. You already know how it's gonna freaking end up.
Yeah, but it's important. I don't know. I enjoy
But
it.
yeah,
I
but
don't
I
know
think too
that
the
it's-
whole space opera type thing. I think.
Well, yeah,
I
no,
feel
no,
like
it
the
is
6
cool that you get
episodes
to see Anakin.
do
Yeah.
a very good job though of a person's rise and fall.
Yes.
You know, type of thing, and then redemption. You
Yeah.
know, overall. So for that first 6, you know, the 3, it's like an epilogue. You know, in a way. Well, let's see what happens to our heroes that were there at the, you know, in the last one. We'll just see how their lives end out.
Right.
You know,
That,
type
that was
thing.
always my issue with Force Awakens. It just felt like they had to undo everything to make the movie even work. You know, we had to undo everything at the end of the Return of the Jedi to make this movie function.
Somewhat.
Well, not really. I mean, but it's
Yeah,
like
it's like we beat the Empire. Oh wait, now look, they're back again.
Yeah, there's
Sorry.
somebody. But I mean, that doesn't. You're right. I mean, could they have found some different way? You know, there's always going to be big baddies.
that's what I
one way or
complained
another.
about it with the Force
Yeah,
Awakens
and I
when we
agree.
talked
Yeah,
about
you
it. No,
did.
you didn't. You didn't agree with me because you're like, well, what else are you gonna do? That's Star Wars.
Yeah, it is
It's,
what
you
you
got
do.
the rebels against the Empire. Like, what else?
Well,
What
maybe
else
now
do
that
you
it's
want?
over, I'm looking back. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, you're
Well, I
right.
was
no,
right there.
I was hoping it was gonna go a different way, maybe, or it was gonna be better in the end, but it didn't really.
It didn't really.
Yeah.
I mean, the pro. I really
Obviously,
admit that
all
the Force
three of these
Awakens.
all 3 of those movies were nods back to 4, 5, and 6.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In a lot of ways, yes.
And I mean, they threw little nods, they threw little fan things, they threw little
Yeah.
whatever. But it's like, as I said when I saw Force Awakens, I'm like, I've seen this movie.
Oh, you're
I've
absolutely
already-
right.
And when I saw The Last Jedi, or whatever,
I still don't know that I
I was like,
necessarily
this
agree
is the
that
Battle of Hoth.
See, I just don't know that I agree with. You're right. There's some
There are a
similarities
lot of
there.
similarities.
And then-
They have on that
It's the whole Empire because Rey is there, and
training,
and
much like Luke was training with Yoda.
Is Yoda,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
So-
Rey is
There's
Luke.
a lot of there's a lot of
And then
parallels.
in the third
There
one,
are some.
I was just like, okay, fine. I'm just not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna go in and watch it. I'm just gonna have fun. If they do this, if they do that, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm like, you see Lando in all the previews. and
I
I'm
thought
like,
I lowered my
it's gonna be
expectations.
the
and
end. It's gonna
obviously
be
I
just
didn't
like
lower
Return
them
of
a lot.
Jedi.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just like Return of Jedi. He's gonna come in the Millennium Falcon at the end and save the effing day. You know what I mean?
He does.
And he does. And I mean, they're running around in
He
the,
gathers up
they're
freaking
run-
15
they're running-
billion people that they couldn't get in the freaking
Yeah.
5 years.
They're
to maintain
running.
or
They're
whatever.
running around in the
Lando's a sweet
space
talker.
station or
He
whatever.
is, isn't he?
They're running around in the space station. I'm waiting for him to jump into the trash compactor. You know, I'm like, where's the trash compactor scene? You know, like,
Oh,
when
yeah.
is that gonna happen?
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I enjoyed it. Like, I just went in and watched the freaking movie.
That is
I
good.
wanted to find out who Ray was.
And you did. And
We
were you
did.
satisfied with that?
Sort of. Like, the first thing I texted you, got Drew or Matt. We had like several groups going, and I'm like,
You guys
so.
didn't text me. I feel so
so-
bad.
Well,
Yeah.
no, you might have been in it. We had one with Matt and
They've
one
run with you and
you.
one with Matt.
But
Yeah,
at
with
one
Matt,
point,
yeah.
I was like,
See, I should have been the same one with Matt, though.
I know.
That's
But
the
at
thing.
one point,
Matt
I was
and
like-
could have really. Did Matt like it?
Yeah, Matt liked it. Yeah.
Okay,
Matt likes
yeah.
all Star Wars. He's
Yeah, could've-
he's kind of like me. He just likes Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, so he forgives a lot.
but
Yeah.
But well, I can't remember. what
Sorry,
was
I
saying.
totally lost you off
You
there.
totally-
You were talking in these different chats and things about.
Oh no. Oh yeah, and I was like, oh, so they
Ray.
just retconned Palpatine having a kid, or
Yeah,
actually
pretty
married to
much.
somebody, or having sex.
Sex, I know. I mean, that's the thing is, did Palpatine
I think he
actually
just
screw
created her out of
somebody?
midi-chlorians.
There's all sorts of ideas that could be there, but I mean that's the thing.
But he
Okay,
had
so
kids, and that's his
so here's the
grandkids.
thing. He created all these midi-chlorians to create a child, and then he has a boy. And where did all the force powers go to? His scrotum? Because did he have any force at all? I mean, sure seems like somebody just like killed him,
Well,
or whatever
and-
else, because everything went to the
Yeah, wouldn't
freaking
Palpatine's
daughter.
son or
Well-
daughter, who's Rey's father or mother, have like awesome force powers? You would think.
I would think that's
Apparently,
right.
it skips a generation.
That's what I said. Well, he used the midi-chlorians and
all
put
in
it
the
all into the
scrotum.
scrotum. So that's what I
But,
said. I don't know.
That's the thing too. Like, so for that,
So that's part of the thing that just drives me nuts.
so part of that did. So then the other thing is like, they've been trying to kill Rey through the whole thing, and at the beginning, Palpatine's like, "Oh, bring me the girl, I'll kill her."
Well, that's true. The Snoke, you mean, type thing?
Well, yeah, but then even in this one, in the last one, he's telling Kylo Ren, he's like, "Bring me the girl, and I'll kill her."
But that's Emperor for you. He always lied out his ass.
Well, okay, so that's what I'm like. So, like, why did he? It made it seem like all these years he was trying to hunt her down and kill her.
Yeah. No, he just.
And
knew
I'm
that
like, why wouldn't he want her? Like,
Yeah.
he
I think
would
he
want
always
her
wanted
to
her.
bring
I didn't have a
in
problem with that.
and turn her.
I mean, the bigger problem is that it just
And then,
doesn't
of
work.
course-
It doesn't work with the throne room scene of Last Jedi,
Right, yeah.
Where he wanted Kylo Ren to kill. Now maybe here again, Palpatine didn't give a shit. Whichever one, because he knew that both Skywalker blood or Palpatine blood, if he can get either one of them to freaking truly turn to the dark side, he'll have something nice and powerful. But fuck hell, I don't know.
I mean,
like I said, the whole dang thing.
the
doesn't
whole
make
thing
up.
where she's up in the handcuffs, like
Yeah.
going up. I'm like, okay, this is Return of the Jedi. And
Yeah.
like, and
There's lots of throwbacks.
There
there.
is a lot of
there's a
throwbacks.
ton of, but I will say,
You were
this-
happy that Chewie got his medal?
Yeah, so happy.
No, this was the funniest C-3PO movie, I think, because I laughed out loud when they changed his
C-3PO 's
memory. And then they're on
And
there.
quite honestly,
And they turn around and they look at him, and then he turns around and
yeah.
I was like cracking up. And he's like, "Oh, hey, this is my best friend. I've known him the longest
Yeah.
my whole life, or whatever."
Ballard Frick or whatever the hell his
that
name
whole
is.
thing was hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would
3PO
agree
was
that was
great in that.
Honestly,
thing.
and I liked all the interaction between Ray, Poe, and Finn myself.
Yeah.
Whenever the three of them, were together, and stuff, I thought that what they were bouncing each other off, I thought was really funny.
Yeah, it felt
But
fun.
you flat for you, yeah. Whereas I liked it. So to each their own, I think that's something. But that's
I
the
like
funny
the
thing with
banter
Star
in
Wars.
Force Awakens much better. I felt like the writing in this one wasn't as good with the banter.
I would agree with some of that. I do think that the Force Awakens banter was better.
But it is.
I still think Last Jedi is the funniest.
But I think Zori Bliss
it is-
and Babu Frick, though, I think are both really good characters that they introduced.
Sorry,
it is-
Blick, she didn't do anything.
I don't know. I still thought she was cool.
And that's
Carrie Russell. It's gotta
Yeah,
be
Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out the voice. I saw it twice, and I couldn't figure out the voice.
Wow, you know
And
Carrie
then
Russell was in
I
it?
googled it and figured out that it was Carrie.
And my
Russell.
wife thought that Babu Frick or whatever was hilarious and really,
I did like Babu.
yeah, really
Is
good.
he the...
So he's the little droid repair guy.
The dude that
Yeah.
that's
Who's C-3PO's best friend.
that C-3PO's like, oh, I read it. I just can't tell you what it is.
I know.
Like,
I like that
what? Like, oh, it's in your memory bank.
Yeah, some of that though. Okay, so this freaking dagger of whatever the hell typeness, it's this dagger thing. So she gets this thing and gets to the one planet where there's a freaking broken Death
Broken
Star.
Death Star.
And no, she
Pulls
just
it
happens to go,
Pull
well,
it
here's
out.
why we need it, because it pulls this little thing out. Oh, and I'm standing in the exact right spot just
Right.
to do that
Oh,
so
yeah.
that it points. I guess the Force led her to the right spot.
Right.
But I'm still just like, really? That's what this thing's for? What the, It's not a key for something. It's not anything else. I mean, it says stuff on the handle, but no, it's a compass so that you can
Right.
find exactly where I need to go.
But
What?
that's just
Oh,
that's
come on.
lazy writing.
It
That's
is.
just
Exactly.
That's lazy writing.
Exactly.
That's everywhere.
Okay, Kylo Ren, his little, this is all cool and everything. His TIE fighter, is coming out, catching Rey in the desert. She jumps up, hits the thing, it goes fumbling off.
And he steps out.
Well, he steps out. I have no problem with that. But the thing's on fire, okay? Everything else, whatever the heck else, okay? What the hell's he got on that thing? It's his personal fighter. Doesn't he have the freaking little damn pyramid thing on there? you know, that he found the Palpatine with the first time. So somehow, you know, she ends up stealing another one, you know, type things, which happens to be his private fighter, which she's already chopped off and everything. Hey, look, there's another Wayfinder in it, you know. I mean, yeah, how the hell does that happen?
Scott may be the Star Wars fan, but I want to go.
Maybe.
Okay, so all right, let's transition here.
To-
All right,
to
so
complain
do you
about
have the
Star Wars
same
fans?
criticisms like that for The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Because that
it's-
show falls apart if you look at it any kind of closely.
closeness, yes, it does.
Because okay, let's take
But
episode 8.
it's better writing in general.
Is it?
I think so. Maybe, is it
let's-
better pacing?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's take episode 8. So they're up in this place and they're shooting them up, right? All right, and the guy brings in a E-web, you know.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about it and then not actually use it, you know, even though he could blow it away.
You
I don't
could
know.
blow
I don't know
away.
what he's hesitating for.
I have
No, he's
no
gonna
idea.
give them until sundown.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's still sundown
Give me
for
8
some
hours.
reason.
Yes.
All right,
Give me 8
stupidest thing
hours
ever.
to figure
Okay,
it out.
then he goes in, or some guy goes in with the flamethrower thing, and they blow him out the thing, and then the Mandalorian gets injured or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So no other
he
troops
gets-
go in at that point. They've got a whole armada out here. The flamethrower guy came out, so let's all just hang back.
Well, the flamethrower guy came out and it was like on fire and explosion, whatever the hell else. They don't know what the
Wouldn't
hell's
the
going
rest
on.
of the troops rush in?
Fuck no! And the hell back.
right.
My big flamethrower guy just got his ass
Sure,
kicked.
maybe I'd use the E-web at that point. I don't know.
Well,
But anyway,
maybe. But no, because it already blew up by that time. Because
Okay,
he was
sure.
hurt, and
Yeah.
you know, Moff
All right.
Gideon or whatever.
So
blew it
anyway,
up.
so
Come on,
IG-88 is
keep up here.
So IG-88 is staying back to fix him up or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the rest are going forward. All right, he's like takes his helmet off and he fixes him up. Well, somehow IG-88 carrying him catches up to the other guys who had like a
Right.
5-minute head start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does that work?
Because they didn't know where they were going. Who the hell knows?
But IG-88, I mean,
Well,
so
IG-88's got Bando with him, so they can say, hey, make a turn here, make a turn there, whatever the hell else.
does Mando know the way around?
Yeah, because it's his freaking place down there and
Okay.
things of that nature.
I guess.
Because they end up finding the freaking armor.
Anyway, so my point is that it seems like our Star Wars fans are like super nitpicky and critical of the movies.
So why do
But
we...
then they're so forgiving about the Mandalorian, which has as much stupid crap and ridiculous.
they
I
ideas.
did.
don't think so.
Everybody loves
Yes.
Baby Yoda. If
Well,
you put
they
a
like-
Baby Yoda.
But I'm
in
just
that-
saying that the
Does
same
the-
people who complain about the movies nitpicking and how absurd it is, they're like eat up the Mandalorian.
But
It's like,
Star Wars
it's
is-
just a stupid people.
I don't know. Something is
The
different
only
with
reason,
the
the
Mandalorian.
only reason
What-
it's
why
not
is
as
it different?
stupid, the only reason it's not stupid is because it's a much simpler story.
Is that what it
It's
is?
less complex, so you don't have to be as the strings aren't as obvious, you know. Because like the Rise of Skywalker, it's fairly complex. You got like this guy and this guy, and you got a lot of stuff coming together, and you got a lot of things.
But did it
plot
need to be
threads.
that? That's the
Maybe
problem.
not.
You know,
But
Mandalorian knows what it wants to be,
Yeah, it's
and
simpler.
and it follows.
But it's
that
still stupid.
pattern. I don't think it's stupid. I think it knows because you could probably pick that out with any freaking series out there.
Probably.
You know?
But what I'm saying is
Witcher,
Star Wars
Stranger
fans
Things, any of this type of
yeah,
stuff.
but Star Wars fans love to nitpick the movies, and then on the Mandalorian, they're like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever! I give it a free pass."
Well, because there's something different there. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
I don't know.
and
Like I'm
maybe
saying,
maybe
you can
because
nit-
the fact that maybe because Star Wars deserves to be more in a series type of format like that. I don't know where they can develop
why.
some characters and whatever else.
It's always been movies for the most part.
It has been movies, but there is something not right with Rise of Skywalker for me.
Yeah.
But you're right. I was definitely not as much against The Last Jedi as a lot of people were.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good parts in Last Jedi, in
There
my
are.
opinion.
I'm just saying, it seems like Star Wars fans like they pick and choose what they want to nitpick, and they
Yeah.
bitch and moan, and then other things they give a pass to.
Well,
It's like,
but-
and the other things are just.
but it's not even
you
that.
can pick it apart.
The thing
it's
is-
kind of like my argument's always been Episode 4 is not a very good film. Like the writing is bad, like the
A New
acting
Hope?
is bad. Yeah, A New Hope. It's not like if you go back and watch that, it's like this is pretty cheesy. Like
Oh,
if,
it's hugely cheesy, but it's
and
Star
it's
Wars,
like
too.
it's bad.
But you're right to the point of.
I mean, we all love it. I love it,
So-
but I mean, as a film, it's pretty bad. There's not much there.
There-
If it wasn't for the charisma of Harrison Ford and Carrie
Yeah,
Fisher,
Carrie Fisher, for
there would
that
be
matter.
nothing there,
Yeah,
man.
'cause
That,
Luke's a
that's
little
all you
wooden.
got.
Yeah, Luke's definitely not.
It's-
Well, and
He's terrible in.
Oh, I guess you got
Last Jedi.
Obi-Wan. You know,
I was going to say you got Alec
he is
Guinness,
the anchor.
and you have Peter Cushing,
Yeah.
who as a villain is really
Right.
so.
Yeah.
You've
got some anchors.
got
but,
some really good.
But if you
anchors
break
there
that down as the writing alone, and I mean, it's a cool
yeah,
story.
but still, even at that, the
it's
writing's
just-
not near as bad as maybe they just sold it better, but I still don't know that the writing's near as bad as what was done in some of the prequels.
Probably not.
So
It's pretty bad though.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And people just like put on the blinders and like.
Well, because of what it was at the
It's
time.
because of what it was at the time.
And I think part of what you have with the Star Wars
If
is
you have people
because you
watch
have
that
such
now-
a huge following on the Star Wars type things, and it can bring out such big emotions that you do have even the bandwagon type of scenarios too.
Yeah.
As
I
people, because somebody notices something, they
feel like
get it out
people
there,
are-
and there's so many people that can go that, yeah, you're right, and then it just spreads like wildfire, type things. I mean, from a Mandalorian, you've got the opposite effect going on. You've got the people that are going out there going, this is so good because blah 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 blah, and everybody else is piling on that, so that to the point when the one person's out there that says, no, that was stupid because of this, this, and this, they're going, no, pitchforks and whatever the hell else, because you've got the huge following.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things. It's almost like the third thing to get people riled up. You got politics and religion, and almost Star Wars anymore.
Yeah,
to
I
a
agree.
point.
It's just, Star Wars fans frustrate me because it's like, dude, just be happy you have Star Wars.
Did you see the?
But are we
I'm
as
very
a fan
happy.
community?
I love Star Wars. I went to see the movie. I loved the movie. I enjoyed it immensely. I like The Mandalorian. I enjoy that too. But it's like these 40-year-old guys are like sitting in their chairs and being like, well, this is stupid. It's absurd. I don't want to do it this way. It's like, dude, it's a freaking Star Wars movie. You loved it when you were a kid. Be a kid again and enjoy it on that level and stop acting like it's something it isn't.
Yes.
Star Wars has never been good
Very
from
true,
an
very
objective
true.
filmmaking
But
standpoint.
Is that where part of the problem though is coming in, especially from 40-year-old guys and whatever the heck else that are fans that are into this? I shouldn't say just guys because there's a lot of females that like it too. But part of the thing is the fact that we've had now recently, say what Marvel's done, with that type of stuff. Hell, you even had a great fantasy trilogy in the Lord of the Rings and things of this nature, in that time frame. Other sci-fi type films and stuff.
Sure.
Have our
expectations
rose a little bit in there too?
I think it's just bitter old men. who
Do you
don't
think
know
that's
how-
what it is that
Yeah.
that things didn't come out the way that they want to?
Yeah, I think it's
Because
just a
I
bunch
think
of-
because honestly, I think that's what my problem is with Rise of Skywalker. I
It's-
did not have a problem with The Last Jedi, like I said. Force Awakens, I totally acknowledge the whole nostalgic factor on it. I still think that this is a fun film. But why do I dislike Rise of Skywalker? Or, like I said, it's a little
Awakens-
strong. Maybe because of the fact that I can't figure out why so many people just come out saying that they love it, type things, or that it's really great. And then it gets me onto the other side of that. Like I said, I still appreciate it, and I still
Your brother was watching.
think what it is a good. I think it's a decent enough film, but I've gotten to the point that it almost seems like I'm a hater of it because I can't figure out why people like it so much. I guess
The
in that
Force
respect.
Awakens. The reason The Force Awakens was so good is because it had freaking Han Solo and Chewbacca in it.
But so did this one. So did Rise of Skywalker.
No, it didn't.
Sure, it did. Harrison
You had
Ford's
5
in it.
seconds of Han
I
Solo.
don't
in it,
care.
But you didn't have Han Solo and Chewbacca like that.
I did not.
So it was pure
that-
nostalgia?
I didn't have
Yes.
it for Last Jedi though either, and I enjoyed that film.
But you had Luke.
True, I had them both in this damn film, so I should have really liked it.
Really didn't have Luke. No, but what I'm saying is like
There wasn't much of the original people in the Rise of Skywalker.
When I went
they
back-
had cameos, but they didn't really.
when I went
is
back
true.
and rewatched Force Awakens, that when friggin' Han and Chewbacca show up and they're like, "Oh, we're back," and then like, "Oh, this is what I've been doing. I got these friggin' monsters on here," and the dude's like, "You've got what on here?"
Yeah.
And then they break out, and then
But it was
he's
even
doing
to
the
me.
thing.
It was even good before that though. I was having fun.
No,
with
no,
that
no.
film
I
before
get
that.
it, but that's like that's the move. That's the 3 right there. That's 4, 5, and 6 right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's
And
the
I
way
really
to blow
felt
it
like-
out of the water. It's like bring back Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
And I really felt like Force Awakens, from an objective, like a good film standpoint, it was a really good film. Like it was well paced,
But it
was
was.
well acted, it was
Well
well
paced,
written,
well
yeah.
acted,
But
well
it's
written.
good
Same
production.
thing,
value.
exactly.
It was very.
It's episode 4 though. Because
You're right. I know.
Oh.
I totally admit
Yeah.
to that.
Pose on this
Correct,
planet.
but it was like
I-
episode 4 with like good
I've got
writing
this data.
and good special
I'm
effects.
gonna
Very
put
good.
it. I'm
I
gonna
would
put it
totally
in
agree
this-
with that.
I'm
It's
gonna
like-
put it in this thing.
It's like
Right.
Put it
episode
in this
4
robot.
if a competent director and writer had it.
In a lot of ways.
Which George Lucas really isn't a competent director or
I
writer.
wrote like a paragraph.
It's a bad movie. No single scene holds up even to the slightest thought. Nothing makes sense. It's a film by committee, which is actually what I was talking about at the beginning, though. Too.
It was a but
film by committee.
yeah,
You
but
know,
like I said,
scene
episode
holds
4 is
up.
horrible too. So
No scene holds up.
I don't know. I have a hard time.
He didn't like Rise of Skywalker. He didn't like Last Jedi either.
Is he
Sorry,
talking about
Jason.
Rise of Skywalker?
He is talking
He's
about
talking
Rise of
Rise of
Skywalker. He did not like it.
But see, like I said, I enjoyed Last Jedi for what it was as a film and things of that nature, and I thought it had some pretty good twists in it and things. I think I do admit to its shortcomings, and type stuff, which we talked about many times before. Rise of Skywalker, but I thought there again with even Last Jedi, it had pacing that was in line with the other Star Wars films. Star Wars films don't move real fast overall.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Return of the Jedi moved the fastest in some ways.
Yeah, that's true.
But think about it. If you go back to watch some of those, they're pretty deliberate with
Why
what
is that
happens.
bad?
Well,
I
Rise-
don't know, but it just feels
Why is
because you can't
Because you have to
concentrate
build
on
up.
anything.
You have to like pace things to where it like builds
you're
up
right,
to a
Don. It's
crescendo.
really hard for me to explain in that respect, type things. But I just felt like I couldn't really ever have the opportunity to really sit back and just appreciate something or laugh with something
You know
or
what?
whatever
You need
else.
to be Drew. You
Some
need
of
to
that.
take Drew's attitude. Just be a fucking kid again and go see the goddamn movie.
Well, I did watch it a second time, and like I said, even in the chat, I said it was much better the second time around. My like I said, I think my expectations, as low as I tried to make them, maybe because it was the last film in this trilogy, whatever else, they very well could have been way too high. I didn't even have a problem with the Emperor coming back in a lot of ways, but that film just
It wasn't
did
a
not,
good film. It wasn't
Yeah.
well paced. It wasn't well made.
That's where I think the problem broke down for me. Was where I felt like, as cheesy and forgiving as I can be for a lot of things, when all this stuff came together, it just didn't come together well that I thought.
I've
type
done
thing.
the exact opposite of everybody.
Yeah.
I hate.
You're
I
right.
Did not
You did not like Force Awakens.
when
You
it
did
came
not
out.
like Last Jedi
I
when it came
didn't
out.
like Last Jedi when it came out. I've gone back and watched them and they're good. And then this one,
You really
I have no
enjoyed.
problem with it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Perfect.
I had a great time at the movie. I'm
Good
like,
for you. I'm
this
glad
is
you did.
awesome. I'm like Star Wars again.
There you go.
Whatever.
You got your inner kid back.
Like I said.
And part of my problem may have been the fact that I know what you've already said about The Mandalorian. That's not very good. But I did watch episode 7 of The Mandalorian before I went to watch Rise of
Right.
Skywalker. And for me, I am a Mandalorian fan. I have been liking where this thing's going. I thought the pacing on it's been pretty good. I like how they develop stuff. And then I got to episode 7, and I felt like 7 was bringing a whole bunch of this crap together. Where it was tying in a bunch of these characters and everything and bringing things. And I honestly, I felt like I was on the edge of my seat there with the.
Episode
at the end
7
of
was
that.
really good.
You know,
I just feel like
where-
episode 8 was like
type things. And I was
dragged
like,
out.
wow, type stuff. And so I'm here at the end of episode 7 going, I can't wait for the episode 8, and this is really good. And then I go see Rise of Skywalker and go, what? That type of thing. So, I don't know. And I still would disagree with you. I still like episode 8. I don't think episode 8 is as strong as 7, but
I liked it. I'm just
But I
saying
did-
that you can
I
nitpick it
still
apart
felt
just
like-
as easily.
Did
Oh.
anybody?
Oh, and that
Yeah.
stupid scene in the beginning with the scout troopers punching Baby Yoda.
you didn't
Oh.
like that?
I mean,
thought
it
was
just
hilarious.
felt so out of place.
It felt out of place.
It was,
but
but
the
it was
banter
close.
of those guys back and forth
Yeah.
was great.
But since
then
when do
he punched-
scout troopers have this kind of banter?
Did
I've
you-
never seen that before.
Well, what
Doesn't
are they
matter.
gonna do?
What are they
You've
gonna
never
do?
seen them. What are they gonna do when
That's
they're
right.
sitting on the
What do they
scout?
do when they're afraid
I don't
of their
know, it was
moth
just-
that's killing a
it
bunch
felt
of
like
people?
it was trying to be like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
No,
for like
that was
5
funny.
minutes.
Did you see the?
That's just because it was tacky.
Did you see the YouTube video with it was like 3 minutes of just
Yeah, I saw it. Then punching Baby Yoda.
to
That's
whatever
pretty funny.
song it was.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I'm like, and that was a little harsh. I'm like, I can't really watch. I'm like, it's just like punch the baby. I know it's all made up, but he's punching the
Just
baby.
punching the baby.
And, blah, and bam,
Yeah.
blah.
And
Like
the action in there was really good, and I thought that they did really well with the action scenes. And maybe that was part of the thing, even with Rise of Skywalker. I felt that the action scenes, well done for the most part, just were too damn quick, and things.
I still
Nothing
want-
got the chance to really sit there and try to go, wow, that's a memorable scene in a lot of ways to me in the Rise of Skywalker.
I understand
that
that.
you
I
got
get
with some of
that.
those others. Maybe the closest thing is the lightsaber battle that happened, there in the water. That was really good, type of things. But it lasted like it should have. It took its time. It showed a lot of stuff. The payoff was pretty good, in there, with her stabbing Ben Solo, and things of this nature. That was great. But then, you get to those parts that, what was it? Him fighting his Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Bam, that thing's over in freaking. Did it even last 60 seconds? I don't even
Right.
think so. Her taking on those freaking bunch of red troopers that look cool as shit, but holy crap, they were gone, in 30 seconds. How do you even build up and go, oh, here's a big bad, type of thing? They were in there and they shot like stormtroopers. I don't know. So it's that type of stuff in which if he would have had more time, or like I say, if that first hour of Rise of Skywalker could have been the second movie where he paced it out, type of thing, maybe I would have enjoyed this a bit more, in some respects. But I just, it made it difficult to really have those type of memorable things out of there. And it felt like the twists in like Last Jedi, the twists that happened, with either Snoke being killed or Rey's parents being nothing, or even Luke Skywalker in his hologram or whatever you want to call it, mirage type thing. Those things were memorable to me, or kind of cool, type stuff. And and they were twists that, while I maybe didn't expect type things, I thought they kind of fit in different ways there. Whereas I felt like the twist in Rise of Skywalker of having Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter was forced, in some ways. Because of the fact that you missed that whole generation. Other things, it was like, dun, 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 we got to make some big moment. And that's your big moment? Where'd that come from? Type thing. So I think that's the some of those breakdowns that I have, is it just keeps going to that fact. And perhaps to your point, being a 40-year-old that's had all these other films, now I have a better idea of what's good versus bad, and maybe some of that.
Did you guys read, I'm sure you have, but like they had an article on the internet, YouTube, like you click on it, but it was like, what was George Lucas's plan for
episode 9?
You want to do the Willies?
That sounded
The
terrible.
Wills.
The Wills? Oh, the Will of the Wisp.
It did sound.
That sounded terrible.
I think I did read that at one point in time.
But I wonder how much George Lucas is just trolling people too. Yeah, I don't know.
At one point in time,
he's got crazy ideas, but sometimes
he does. And at one point in time, I had read that some of the stuff, the interaction of Luke, or Old Man Luke, was some of his ideas that he had for his last trilogy.
Is that like Old Man Logan?
Yeah, kind of that. Yeah,
it's basically the same thing.
In some ways, yeah. But the old crotchety Luke, I did read that some of those ideas that
Old Man Luke did kill all of his students, just like Old Man Logan killed
there
all
you go.
the X-Men.
Yeah.
But he did it on accident.
So, but who knows? Maybe some of those ideas were taken, because they did have some of Lucas's outlines, and things of that nature.
Yeah, they didn't use much.
Well, they didn't use it for this one, I know.
Yeah.
But did they use it? I read at one time, after all the backlash on Last Jedi, that there were some ideas from Lucas in that one. How much? We'll never know.
I read a funny fan theory that like George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney just to prove to Star Wars fans how bad it could get. Because he's like, everybody's complaining about the prequels, right? He's like, okay, I'm going to sell it to a corporation. Let me show you what a corporation is going to do with this and see how you like that, you bunch of whiners.
Fans, yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I can believe that. I can't believe, though, the Mandalorian you're not a fan of, though. Wow.
No, I do like The Mandalorian. I like Rise of Skywalker. I like all Star Wars.
But you just find that the fans are funny that they pick on one and not the other.
Yeah,
and why
I just
do
don't
they do that?
understand why they nitpick like one when the other one can be just as easily
bad.
nitpicked.
Yes.
Because all Star Wars at its core
is
kind of dumb and cheesy and
soap
stupid.
opera shit. Yes.
Yeah, it's not like it's The Irishman or something, man.
I totally agree with you.
And
Did you ever watch that?
I never watched The Irishman. I just use that as an example. But
Did you watch The Witcher?
I haven't watched The Witcher.
It's pretty good.
But anyway,
That's
it's
not
not
what
like
I've heard.
it's like high art or something. It's just
Did you watch
fun,
Irishman?
I didn't.
Damn it, you guys are terrible.
I did watch 600 Ground. That's actually,
I watched the two
I
Popes.
watched 600 Grand.
It's not awful.
Oh, I started that, and my wife was watching it. She's like, "This is horrible. Why are we watching
It's not
this?"
awful.
It's not awful. It's not
Maybe
the
it just
best.
started
I mean, it's
rough.
typical Michael Bay.
I watched El Camino.
Is it Michael Bay?
He's got some hand in it. I thought he
I watched
actually
El
directed
Camino
it.
finally.
I watched Two Popes. Did you watch Two Popes?
I didn't. Did you like that?
It was alright.
It was all right. Okay. I watched Knives Out.
I haven't seen that. I saw
Fucking
Crawl.
Really good. I like Knives
I
Out.
don't even know what Crawl is.
You know what Crawl is? Did you know what Crawl is?
No.
It's
I
like
wish I did.
alligators
Is it?
or crocodiles. I can never tell the difference.
I watched El Camino.
Okay, did you like that?
It was alright.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what everybody says.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh, it was the greatest thing ever.
No.
Because I got to find out what happened to...
No, it was the
What's his
opposite.
face?
I mean, it's cool to find out what happened to Jesse, but I just didn't feel like it was necessary.
Yeah, I don't either. I
But I
watched...
mean, it was well done.
I watched that movie you gave me, that Free Fire.
Oh, was that any good? I never watched it.
No.
Well, that's why I bought it for like $1.
It wasn't-
and I never watched it.
It wasn't bad,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like... Why did it make...
It's
it
just
was
like an hour and a half shootout, right?
That's what they bill it as, but it's not like a continuous hour-and-a-half shootout. But it is like an hour-and-a-half shootout. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like, well, basically, is what happens is they go to. Yeah, it's an hour-and-a-half shootout, but it's not constant gunfire.
That would be really boring.
It was almost like it felt like it was like an expanded Reservoir Dogs, but bad.
Yeah, but not good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I watched some other stuff too. Oh, I watched Bumblebee.
I haven't seen that.
Ah, you know,
Scott liked that.
I did kind of like that.
It-
yeah.
My son liked that. I never saw it.
I will give you this.
It's basically Iron Giant.
Part of the
in a lot of ways.
Part of the reason that I enjoyed it as much as I did is because it's set in the 80s. And
Yeah.
it was constant. Like, we were watching, like, 15 minutes in, and we're like, Barbara's like, holy crap, they played, like, every great 80s song already. Like, in the first 15 minutes. It was just like a montage of 80s music.
But it even feels like an 80s teenage film in
Oh,
some
yeah,
ways,
absolutely. It's
you
like
know?
Karate Kid. It's
Yes,
like,
exactly.
It's like
and I
Iron
think
Giant.
that's
It's
why
like-
I liked it. It was nostalgic, but nothing like
I-
real hugely original.
No, I enjoyed it. It was okay, but at the beginning, when they did the battle when they were on Cybertron and they were having the battle with the Decepticons and the Autobots, like the CGI was terrible because Barbara's like, "Is this a cartoon?"
I don't even remember that well, but you're probably right.
I'm like, "No, it's not a cartoon. Like, it kind of looks like a cartoon, but it's not. This is a live action movie." but I mean, it was funny. It was kind of like the first Transformers movie with the parents and with what's his face.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, like it was kind of like that. Like it had good banter. I mean, it was like it wasn't the greatest movie ever.
No.
But I didn't feel like I wasted an hour and 45 minutes or whatever of the time that I watched it.
Yeah.
I kind of zoned out a little bit there towards the end because I thought it was over, and then it was like, no, we still have to fight, and then I'm like paying attention again, and they're up on this giant tower trying to get a radio signal or whatever, and I'm like, okay, all right, more action.
Swing things back around. That was one thing that I did actually not find too bad about Rise of Skywalker was I didn't feel like they drug out the ending too far. I mean, they have their celebration at the end. They try to do some other throwbacks.
nice.
Oh my
you know,
god,
when he
they
goes
had
to
a gay
visit.
kiss.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you even notice that if they hadn't
I
pointed it
did.
out?
No, I did.
I did in the movie because
Yes.
I was like, wait a
Oh,
oh, okay. But it
I
didn't
didn't
bother
care.
me. I didn't
You know?
care. I was just like, okay,
I was
that's
like,
kind of
all right, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
And then it's like the headline
I know.
the next day or whatever.
Exactly.
I was just
The
like,
Chinese
oh my God.
didn't censor it or something weird too. I don't know.
Well, then somebody was telling me that they thought that what Finn was trying to tell Rey was that he had feelings for Poe. I was like, I didn't get that, but if that's what you took from it, okay.
Yeah,
I
what the hell?
thought I read somewhere that he was trying to tell Rey that he was force sensitive.
Yeah.
which I was like, holy
Which I
crap.
don't know why that's a
You're-
big deal.
I know.
And they made a big deal of it a few times, and it's like,
And then didn't do
and
anything
and
with
it
it.
pay off
Right.
with
I
it.
know.
But if you go back,
Because
like
we ran out of time.
I paid attention to
I
that when
would
I watched
agree.
it the second time, and
Yeah.
you do see it a lot because he's like,
Oh yeah.
he's like, oh, that's the starship we want. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, how do you know? And he's like, I don't
Oh,
know.
I just felt it.
I just have a feeling
That's
about
right.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. If you
They
see it
do.
a second time, pay attention because
They do.
he's pointing and he's like, let's go this way.
But
Let's
then
do
again, I
this."
didn't understand what the F was going on there at the end anyway. They got the antenna. Oh, wait, they transferred it somewhere else. Oh, wait, we have 1,000 Star Destroyers and they all can blow up planets. Oh, no.
So convoluted.
Take him out.
Oh, wait, now we can take them
They're
out.
all Death Stars. Oh my god.
I know. Sorry.
They're all playing.
But luckily, they all have this area where if we hit, it blows the whole ship up. So
I
that's
know.
convenient.
Because
I
somebody,
think they would have learned from the Death Star.
somebody designed it at some point in time with this flaw. Because
We're gonna
they
have to
didn't
have
like the
we're gonna
Empire.
have to have Rogue 2
That's
to
right.
explain how
To
these ships
explain
were
why
doing
the
this
ships
whole-
had a flaw.
We're gonna do another movie, guys. Kathleen Kennedy, I got an idea. Everybody's complaining about the Holdo maneuver and ships blowing up too easy. We gotta
Oh,
come up
and
with a
then-
movie to explain it.
Then the other thing was how everybody was like, "Oh, they totally ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy with the."
No.
With what?
Don't,
With,
don't,
with
don't,
the
don't go there.
hyperdrive. No, I read that. Like it was an article.
What
and-
hyperdrive?
The hyperdrive.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. When,
Oh, the fact
When
that
he's
Guardians of
doing
the
the-
Galaxy does the whole thing where it's like Zippo, dude.
Yeah, he goes into
through all the things.
hyperdrive, and then it pops up, and then jumps
Yeah, so
back
since
into
when
hyperdrive,
did just
and
regular
then pops
hyperdrive
up.
just pop you into an atmosphere, you know? And up until all this and all the other Star Wars films, it was like always from space point A to space point B outside
Right.
of a planet. All of a sudden now we can just zip into an atmosphere in a planet. And
Was
pop
that what
back
Han
up.
Solo did in Force Awakens?
No, in Force Awakens he blasted out of a ship, which was pretty bad.
Okay.
In itself.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't like go through planets. And okay, so
Well, I
you
thought
have-
he came out in the way to get under the radar to do like the whatever the base.
Oh,
I
he
thought
did
had
do
to,
something.
I thought he had to land in the
did he
atmosphere.
land
out
in
of-
there?
straight out
You
of
might be right
hyperspace.
now, yeah. So they did do some setup
Well,
there with it.
But no, I was.
good
What I was saying
call.
is like I read
Look at
online
that.
they were complaining that
Ripped
Rise of
off
Skywalker
Guardians.
ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy when they did that space bump and his space. You know what I'm talking about in 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when they're going to Nidavellir
Okay.
and Rocket is bouncing, poop, poop, poop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
poop, poop, and his face is like.
Yeah, they're
all-
all making their faces go
they
through.
were saying that Rise
was
of
a rip-off.
Skywalker ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy with the time.
Well, I feel like Guardians of the
space jump.
Galaxy is just a Star Wars of
Rip out.
the 2010s anyway. I mean, it's
In some
basically a
ways.
Star Wars movie.
It really is.
I-
It's just
it
not.
That's why I
funny.
liked it. It was like
Yeah.
this generation's Star Wars in a lot of ways.
In a way, a lot of ways, yeah.
That's how I felt at the time.
And I think maybe that's part of the thing. You look at back to Rise of Skywalker and whatever else, and the 40-year-old guys that expecting more. We do get more from things like Guardians of the Galaxy and whatever else. Those are fairly well written, goofy, playful movies
Yeah.
that give you either a nostalgia feel, but they feel like a well-made movie.
They do.
Big budget and whatever the heck else. I did not feel like Rise of Skywalker was a well-made movie.
It wasn't a well-made movie,
So-
but as a Star Wars movie, I enjoyed it. I thought it had a lot of fun stuff in it. But yeah,
I think you're right. There is some stuff in there, but the fact that it felt so rushed to me makes it hard for me to remember what may be
Yeah.
memorable in some cases. At least from a good memorable.
but I think
type of
endings are always hard. Like nobody likes
Oh, yeah.
Return of the Jedi. Everybody complains about that.
There's
now,
a lot of
you
them
know,
that do.
and I think there's
But
gonna be a lot of
they
people-
complain about it more because of the Ewoks, though, don't they? Does
I don't know
anybody
what
really
they-
complain about that throne room scene and the
I have no
stuff with
idea.
the Emperor there and the huge ass dogfight that's going on?
Dude, at this
I
point, I
don't-
don't know what people complain
Yeah,
about.
they probably
just
find something
fucking
there.
complain
They
about
do,
everything.
they do.
If it's Star Wars, I gotta bitch about it.
I'd
Unless
like-
it's a Mandalorian, it gets a free pass on it.
Is what I would like to complain
Mandalorian
about.
does get a bit of a free pass, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Baby Yoda, huh?
No, I think it's just because Star Wars people like want to watch westerns, but they still want to watch Star Wars, and so when you make a Star Wars western, they're like,
Because
oh,
they're
yeah,
so
this is
old,
awesome.
they remember the westerns,
Exactly.
and so this is really nostalgic for them. Is that what it is?
I don't need 30 minutes of previews. I don't need like
Oh god, that's true.
18 preview. I don't need
Well,
18.
Are you complaining about the Regal now?
And is that part of what makes the Mandalorian okay? Is the fact that it's a 30-minute
They did
show,
it.
which is long as the
They
trailers.
did- no,
before the
I
film,
don't care.
you know?
I don't care about the length of the movie. I'm not complaining about that. I just don't need to see 18 trailers before I see a movie.
Okay, I don't know how you've segued to this, but okay,
I would agree with that though.
I agree 100%.
But yeah, just
I-
don't go see movies.
Well, I saw it. I saw it the
All right,
first
all right, we're
time.
talking about Star Wars for an hour. Let's
I would agree.
break it down.
It's time to move it.
You got
Else.
final thoughts.
I loved it. I had no problem with it.
What did you think of
Bring it on.
Mandalorian as a final thought? Did you like
I
it?
love Mandalorian. I like Mandalorian.
You like Mandalorian? Okay.
I agree with Don. I loved Mandalorian, and I really enjoyed Rise of Skywalker, flaws and all.
Cool.
Scott,
Watch.
I love Mandalorian. Rise of Skywalker for me is so.
Just watch the goddamn movie and
Yeah.
have fun.
exactly. It's a Star Wars movie. It's not supposed
Well,
to be high
but
art.
to that point though, and
No.
everything.
See?
Everybody,
There
yeah.
he
Final
is.
thoughts. Everybody has their opinions on it though. Too.
Well, that's
yeah,
true.
on all those. So they're you are entitled to those. Just don't make them so forceful that you have to feel like you got to Twitter burn everybody that's out there
Well, yeah.
to piss them off.
It's
Everybody's entitled to that opinion, and just respect that to a point.
Like I said, if you want to nitpick Star Wars and ruin it for yourself, go ahead. But
Yeah.
I would start with Episode 4 because it's not very good.
It doesn't hold up.
Nope, 5's the only
Just
good
saying.
one.
5's the only good one.
I'm saying, erase
I
your
don't
memory
know.
and rewatch it
Return
now.
of the Jedi is good.
You'll be like,
I like Return of the
people
Jedi.
like this.
I don't know that I necessarily like the reboot that they did as much, but Return of the Jedi is still fun.
I think they should remake the original trilogy.
No.
That would be awesome.
No, it would not.
Have they already done that?
Do you want the CGI?
Like,
three
Do
times
you want
over?
CGI faces of everybody?
No, of everybody who?
Terrible.
Brand new actors.
Oh, we're gonna redo it.
recast it. We could do it with the Han Solo guy, the guy who was in the Solo movie.
Oh,
He could be Han
right.
Solo because he was so good.
yeah.
All right, we'll stop here. All right.
Okay, yeah, yes, please, because I could keep talking about it. And I really dislike being the hater on it there. I don't feel that way with it. There is some
We're not talking about
stuff
Star Wars
in it,
anymore, Scott.
so
Just let it go.
let it go.
All right, let's talk about some comic books since this supposedly is a comic book podcast.
That is probably true.
I've heard that before. You
Have
should
you?
start, Scott.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I remember what the hell I've read now, though, because it's been
Nice.
so long.
I can't believe you read that.
I did read that. Well, okay, Matthew Sturges, right?
Matthew Sturges.
Yeah, so the Four
He's a
Horsemen
Fables
of the
guy.
Apocalypse.
And John
Exactly.
Lucas.
That's where I was going. It was
Isn't
Fables,
he a
Jack of
she
Fables.
He's a she now, but let's not
Really?
focus on that.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that's a theme. We had the he/she last podcast.
Oh yeah, we talked about the Matrix.
Yeah, I was talking
Okay.
about
So you
Doc
just want to continue
Frankenstein.
on?
That's
Okay.
true.
But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, because of Fables,
Nobody
type
listens
background,
to
Jack,
this.
Jack of Fables. I
Well,
was
it's
somewhat
fun.
interested in this. Now, part of the problem, or this is really pretty fun, but you have to go in there with that kind of just fun, goofy mentality, type
Yes.
thing. Part of what the issue is that, or for this, it may be better to take in little spurts. Go read like 12, 20 pages,
Yeah.
put it to the side, come back then later.
Really?
As a whole thing, I felt like it got a little bit too much, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's funny, it's
Like-
fun, but it was like, oh my God, we're still talking about this, or we're still doing this. Oh wow, it's Cheers now, or something. I don't know. I almost felt like I needed to take a rest from
A
it
rest.
a little bit, get to come back and have everything be in that same.
It's pretty
frame of mind.
dense
It's the John.
Very true. There's a lot of words in there.
A lot
for
of
something.
exposition.
Yeah, yeah.
for something that's
It's the
fun.
John Wick effect.
Is
Don't
it?
sit down and watch John Wick 1, 2, and 3 like back to
Most
back,
people
back.
wouldn't
Really?
do that.
Yeah,
I
That would be
almost did.
crazy.
I did.
I know you did. I don't think
That's
that's a good
way
idea.
too
That
much.
would probably be too much.
bodies.
I think
Okay.
I even thought one John Wick movie is like way too much.
I was just like, how
nonstop
many
action.
more hitmen can there be in New York City?
There apparently are a lot of hitmen.
How do they get rid of the bodies so fast?
It's pretty
It's
quick.
New York.
They got
They
cleaners.
just got people.
right.
But anyway,
sleeping
it's
in the streets.
I'm coining that. It's the
John Wick effect. Okay.
Yeah, it's too much.
But overall, with this one, I think it's fun, especially for what they were after. I kind of liked the little bit of, God with the Vikings and whatever else, and the whole Ragnarok, and everything. I thought it was a cool play on some of the myths and things, stories and stuff like that. Which is very much, what Fables is in a lot of ways, is taking
Yeah.
those fables and turning them on their heads. It's similar type stuff here, except for where Fables would have some serious moments or trying to tell a story in general. I didn't feel like there's really much of a story here. It's just all like kind of slapstick. What the hell can we throw into this thing and turn things on its head? So it's not bad. It was a good read.
I should go back and reread this because it's been a year or two
Oh,
since
really?
I've read it. Now Drew read it, and then you read it.
Yeah.
But I just remember loving it.
Did you?
Well, I mean,
like I said, it's fun.
I remembered enjoying it. Let's put it
I
that way.
think for me,
But-
I think I felt at the time that I was trying to forced to go too fast through it a little bit,
Right.
and so maybe that was part of why I thought that
Right.
maybe it was a little too much. And to his point, there's a lot of freaking words in it too.
Yeah.
For something that I wanted to just be playful, and whatever else. It seemed like it kind of slowed it down sometimes with this whole page of just exposition of whatever. So.
Well, I'm a huge John Lucas fan, so the artwork was
The
great.
artwork is fantastic.
Yeah.
It really is. It is really good.
I think it's some of the stuff of his I've enjoyed the most.
Really.
Honestly.
I can totally see
I
that.
like the Houdini books, but I thought I enjoyed the art in this more. It's more of a traditional comic book type.
Yeah. All right, come on. We got like a lot of stuff to get through in like hours.
I read a lot of. No, actually, I
Well,
didn't
it's
read that
because it's
much.
been like freaking 3 weeks
Actually,
and we
I
had
read
a
that
damn
much.
holiday. We actually had
I read
time to read.
Orion. This is the Simonson
Oh, you got
Walter.
that collected?
I bound it.
Nice.
yeah.
Did you do it yourself or you have somebody else?
I had someone else do it. I can't do things.
I want
this
to borrow
much.
that.
All right.
I've been trying to buy these, like pick these issues up.
I finally
you
got
really?
them all, so I bound them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's
this
a
is
lot
a.
of ads in there.
Well, yeah, it's.
It's comics.
But
It's
it's
back in the 80s where they
this
had to
is-
sell tons of ads.
This came out in like what 2000
I don't know.
early 2000s,
Oh,
mid
early
early
2000s.
Probably.
Okay.
So anyway, Walter Simonson decided to tackle Orion, who's a Jack Kirby character of the New Gods, And so he
Yes.
it's pretty cool. It starts out that Orion basically, there's a rumor that Orion is not actually Darkseid's son. And so he's basically going around and he decides to take on Darkseid. He basically takes over Apocalypse, becomes like the new ruler of Apocalypse. And then he gets the anti-life equation, which I never really knew what the anti-life equation did. Apparently it lets you control like all life in the galaxy. Like you can like tell people what to do, like the preacher guy, you know, word of God or whatever type of thing. So he kind of falls into this whole... The story is kind of like how great power corrupts, and he kind of becomes corrupt, and then he, of course, redeems himself. So it's a fun little arc. At one point...
How many issues is that?
It's 25 issues.
Okay.
It's pretty wordy because it's very old school comics,
Right.
so it took a while to get through. And I enjoyed it overall. I mean, I love Walt Simonson's artwork, and I love his design sense and all that stuff. It's really enjoyable. But the story itself is fairly, rote, And so...
Run-of-the-mill type stuff.
Yeah, I
Some
mean,
ways.
it's a cool story, and it's an interesting theme. The theme is kind of like a power. It's funny. It has, like, the letters in here, and some guy wrote a letter to Walt Simonson and said, yeah, I know you're a popular artist, but I have no idea why. Your art's not that good. You really need an inker, and blah, blah, blah. And he's giving, like, Walt Simonson the business thing. He's not very good.
What the fuck?
And Walt Simonson said, yeah, I read this to my wife. It was really funny. We laughed out loud at it or whatever. He's like, and then he goes, but I want to explain, like, I in this book, like in other books, I've tried to do a more traditional style. In this one, the theme of the book is like about power and how power affects people. He's like, so I'm trying to make everything like larger than life, and I'm not trying to necessarily worry about proportions. I'm trying to make it more, stylistic or whatever. He's like, that's intentional, so if you don't like that, then you won't like it. But it's not that I'm a bad artist. I'm doing this on purpose, This is kind of this philosophy. So it was kind of interesting.
Just drawing bad on purpose, sir.
Well, he's not drawing bad. He's drawing in a different style that's not traditional comic
Yeah,
book.
but the guy was like, I've
Yeah.
never enjoyed your style, so this
Yeah,
is
he
different,
is.
so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Very
that
true.
too. So
Yes.
anyway, it was interesting. But yeah, it's a fun little book. Like I said, the Simonson art is worth the price of admission, obviously, if you like that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was good. I
Did he
don't know.
draw all 25 issues?
I think he had a couple films with like John Byrne. Did a
Oh,
couple issues, but
yeah.
other than that, he did pretty much all of them.
nice.
So that's Orion. Yeah, I've been like trying to get all the issues to this for a while. And a couple of them were kind of hard to find, so I finally pulled the trigger and got the last couple, and then was able to bind it. It's cool. There's some backup stories in here by like Frank Miller and Art Adams and stuff, and Howard Chaykin, Rob Liefeld, Eric
Nice.
Larson. So he's got these cool little backup features with a bunch of cool artists too. So it's pretty cool. It's
Cool.
enjoyable.
I'm not going to take it now because I don't know when I'll have time to read
Yeah,
it.
it's a bit of a
I do want to read it.
It's
I
a-
have been trying to pick those up.
it's a bit of a read. It's not something you just
Yeah,
pick
how
up and
many
read
issues did you
casually.
say it was? 25?
25.
I didn't talk about this.
All right, so did you pre-order this?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I was like, how do you have it already? Because
No.
it seemed like it just came out, didn't it? And usually you're like a month and a half behind.
Yeah, I think it came out like
So where'd you
a
buy
week
it?
after Christmas.
How'd you get it?
I actually went to the comic book store.
Wow, that's
So-
crazy.
Yeah, I was reading on
Why didn't you pre-order it?
because I'm not a Wonder Woman.
I'm not either. I didn't pre-order it either.
But
It is Daniel Warren Johnson.
it is Daniel Warren Johnson, and so I was online either on Facebook or Twitter.
Was it Aaron Conley's post?
I think it was Aaron Conley's post.
It was like,
It's
wouldn't that be cool if they like had
no,
more people?
not that. Someone
Oh.
else posted like before. They're like, just read this. It's awesome. Like, great Daniel Warren. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm like, well, maybe I'll go because I didn't pre-order. Like, maybe I'll go see if they have it. And I went to
That's-
HH.
I didn't realize it
And
was.
they had one copy. I didn't realize
it was
either.
oversized.
Yeah,
How
I
much
didn't
is
realize
it?
it was a black label.
Like $10,
It was like 8, 7.
$6.99.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not bad.
Six-
It's 4
$6.99.
issues, but the artwork's awesome. It's Daniel Warren Johnson, and this is basically
They'll buy the trade.
it's a Wonder Woman commandy.
Oh, cool.
So basically, Wonder Woman goes into and what do you call it, cryogenic state or whatever,
Sure.
and wakes up
Yeah.
like 2,000 years later or whatever,
Mm.
and like the world's been destroyed, and it's
But isn't
like,
Wonder
back
Woman
to kind of
immortal?
the basics.
Why would she
Someway.
go into
Is she
cryogenic
kind of a
state?
god?
Well, I think Bruce. So like, she's in like Wayne Manor, and like at one point she comes up and like you see Bruce you see Batman in his costume, like his skeleton, like laying on the couch, and she's like, "Why'd you do this, Brute?" or something.
So he didn't go into cryogenic sleep even with all those billions
I
of
guess
dollars?
not.
That's
Because
weird.
he's immortal and he can live
But
forever.
but no, it's basically like Wonder Woman.
Commandy.
Yeah,
Cool. Sounds
But,
awesome.
but yeah. and
Was
then-
it good? Did you like it?
I did like it.
Wow, it seems rather short though.
Yeah,
It's just one issue.
but
They're gonna do more like this?
There's 4 issues.
it's
Is
4
there?
issues. Yeah.
Okay.
But now I saw that post and I was just like, okay, I guess I'll check it out. And gave me an excuse to go in there because I was
Cool.
looking for something else, but they didn't have the other thing. But
Of course they didn't.
well, it wasn't that they didn't have it; it was that it wasn't out yet.
Damn, the art in this thing though is
It's the same guy who did that Extremity book.
really.
And then
freaking
he
good.
did that.
Do you
what was
remember
the rock and
I
Extremity?
roll
do remember
one?
that one. Yeah, with the.
I don't think Scott read Murder Falcon.
with
You
the
didn't
girl who
give
was
him Murder
the
Falcon?
writer
No.
or the artist that gets her hand chopped
But-
off.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I was just curious, and I actually went to a comic book store, and they had one. That's what I was surprised that they had one.
I'm always surprised when a comic book store has comic books.
Right,
Well,
what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Well, it was weird because like I went in there.
It's a
and, like,
major book.
that was the only thing that I was looking for. But then I was like walking because they have a ton of old, like, a wall of comics, like new stuff.
do they?
And so I was like looking at stuff. Like I'm interested in that freaking
Freaking.
the Jimmy Olsen book. Or Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. It's like a 12-issue
Who's
series.
writing that?
It's Matt Fraction, right?
Oh,
and
that's
Steve
right.
Lieber
Okay.
on artwork.
Yeah, I've heard of that now.
And
I knew it was somebody.
I was interested in it, so I went over, and of course, 6, and they have like they had like it's weird. I don't know how they do that, but they had like 3 copies of number 1, no number 2s, then like 3 copies of number 3, like 4 copies of number 4. You know what I mean? And then there was like another book that I was looking at, like a series that I was like maybe 5 or 6 issues in, and I'm like, well, if they have them all, and then they were missing like 1 out of
Yeah.
them. I'm just like, that's weird. Like, how
Well,
can you have like 4 of each one except 1, and you're completely out of it?
Well, you reduce your orders for number 2.
Right, but
Yep.
then they go back up to 3 because I mean, like,
Well, they kept
had,
it the same, but they sold even fewer copies because they didn't have any number 2s. I have no idea.
I don't know. Anyway, it was just weird, but yeah. So it was good. Like the artwork is great, and I mean, the story's interesting, I guess.
But it's Wonder Woman, right?
But I'm not a
But it's
Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman.
I'm not
That's
either.
why I
That's
didn't
what
buy it.
held me back.
But there's
I really
Batman
like.
in it. So
I really like
that
Daniel
Well,
was-
there's dead Batman on the couch.
I really like Daniel Warren Johnson.
Really Batman bones.
Maybe I'll buy the.
Why
trade
is
of that.
Batman just sitting there on the couch?
I'm way behind on my.
Because he's dead.
I know, but he just happened to die right there on the couch.
I'm way behind on my must-read DC. Like I need to read Mr. Miracle, the one that
I
Tom
do need
King.
to read that
That's
one.
supposed to be really good.
They're coming out
And
with
then this is really what? There's something else. Didn't those guys do something else after Mr. Miracle?
No, but the previews came out. They're doing freaking Adam Strange,
Oh, that's right.
and it's solicited.
Yeah, and this Jimmy Olsen book sounds cool too. That'd be one that'd be good to pick up on like a trade. So I got some DC trades. I probably.
If you buy the Jimmy Olsen one, I'd like to read it.
Well, it's probably not out yet. You said it was just on issue 5.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6.
Oh wait, so there's like a 12-issue trade.
Oh, okay. Well, usually they do like a 12 issue. They'll do 6 issues and then 6 issues.
But like the Mr. Miracle, it's all one big.
They
book.
did do one big book, but I think they did 2 parts too.
They probably did 2 trades and they did like a hardcover.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the Mr. Miracle's really good, and that's,
That's
why
what
I
I
like.
hear.
And I like Adam Strange,
Yeah.
and I saw that because it was in the new previews, and I'm like, ooh, this is probably gonna be good. 'Cause
I'm always-
they're but
I always like Adam Strange in theory, but then I read Adam
I
Strange
know.
book. It's never very good. So
if
it's
they
like,
made their mark on
Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle, are they gonna be able to do it again?
I don't know. It's the sophomore jinx.
I know.
I thought they did something else between that because surely Mitch Gerads has drawn something since Mr. Miracle.
Probably, I don't know.
What's he been doing? It's not like Tom King's busy. He's not doing Batman anymore.
He was. He still kind of is.
Didn't they say he was like helping write the New Gods movie or something weird?
New Gods. There's a New Gods movie.
Supposedly.
Oh, sorry to go back, but did you see
New
that
Mutants?
they did a New Mutants? They're gonna release it.
Trailer. It's finally gonna release it like in April.
Yeah, that's what
Well, they're saying. I'll believe it when I
When it
walk in the
actually
theater and
happens,
actually
yeah.
see
Okay.
it. Not that I would see it in.
It looks
but-
good.
I don't know. There's got to be some reason they've sat it on the shelf for
It
2
looks
years.
interesting.
It might be. Is it Demon Bear?
I think kind of sort of because
Yeah.
it's the whole Danny Moonstar and having
It's gonna be
visions, but it's
horrible.
like a horror. It's like they
Maybe
just
they're
turned
trying
it
to
into
make it more like
horror.
a horror.
It's
gonna be
almost
comic
like
book movie.
it's like a Morning Glories and like
New Mutants?
what's the TV show that just got canned?
Runaways?
No, not Runaways. The
Cloak and Dagger.
no, the
Beverly
Stranger
Hills
Things.
90210.
the assassin, the School of Assassins.
Oh, gotcha.
Deadly Class.
Deadly Class. It's kind of like
You
a
had it
Deadly
on the tip of
Class,
your
Morning
tongue.
Glory.
You're like deadly
Yeah.
something.
So it's
in
like
school.
kids in school, like New Mutants.
right. It's like kids in school, but
Predates all these other ones.
no, I
So
understand.
those things
that.
are more like New
But
Mutants
what I'm
as opposed
saying,
to New Mutants.
New Mutants was cool, but it was Professor X trying to help them.
Yeah.
This looks like a horror movie. Like they're there because they're wanting to kill the kids. It's in the trailer. If you watch the
It
trailer,
does, yeah. That they're
so
trying
it's
to
it's
torture
more
these kids
yeah,
in
it's
some
more
weird
of
way.
like a Morning
Ooh.
Glories or a Deadly Class
Cool.
thing, based on New Mutants.
Well, I love New Mutants.
And who the hell
And
doesn't
that
want to
movie
see
looks
Rain?
horrible.
Rain.
And I didn't
in
even
a
watch the
movie.
trailer.
The trailer didn't look that bad to me.
Let's see.
It doesn't look that bad, but my problem is that
Does it have the
I-
same?
I feel like there's a reason why this thing hasn't been released in
Does it have the
2
girl
years.
from?
Glass and
Does it have the girl from?
Game of Thrones?
No. Does it have the girl from
Come on, spit it out.
from Juno?
You sound like me.
Umbrella Academy. That's what I was trying to go for.
Umbrella Academy.
Ellen Page.
Yeah, Ellen Page.
Is she in it?
I don't
I did
think
not
so.
see her in
Alright.
it. Why?
She's got
I don't know. She seems like she'd be in a movie like that.
Yeah,
You're
she's-
saying it's Maisie Williams or whatever.
Maisie Williams is in there, and
Game of
whatever
Thrones
that girl is from Split, Glass, bitch, she's in that. The one guy who plays like a teenager, or plays a teenager, he plays in Stranger Things. The brother to the boy.
They should have hired me to do the blurb on the back of it.
Oh yeah.
It's
you go.
Wonder Woman meets Commandy.
There you
Nice.
go.
Dawn.
Oh, is the
Elevator
background
pitch.
me?
I think it is actually.
Damn. More Gideon Falls. It's fun. Type things. It's still tiny wimey and all that other good stuff. I still feel like though it's almost a little bit on a fast pace that it's going somewhere.
I feel like he's trying to wrap it up.
I know. Do you get that feel?
I
That's
do.
kind of what I got
And
too.
it always
Like,
scares me because Lemire always wraps stuff up faster than I think he can. Because he always feels like he has such a great premise and setup, and he paces it so well. And then I don't want it to end, which is rare for a book. And then all of a sudden he's like, and he's done.
Yeah,
And you're like-
that's somewhat of the feel. I mean, this one's just keep going with his timey feel and the fact that there's some bad thing that's released in one of these damn universes and they're trying to catch up to that. Meanwhile, your priest and your doctor are trying to figure out how to get to the center, I think, of the universe or whatever the hell it is. But
Yeah.
it's still more the same, but it just feels like it's trying to fast track to something, to some type of happening there.
Lemire isn't known for long series. Descender was probably the longest thing
Really?
of his. Well, Sweet Tooth, I guess, was longer, but
That was pretty long,
I never
yeah.
read that.
Really? You wrote a good chunk of them, didn't you?
Like a couple trades, maybe.
Okay. All right. But anyway, Gideon Falls still good. I'm digging
It's a
it.
2019 Eisner Award winner
There you go. Worthwhile.
for Best New Series. Didn't it come out in 2018? That's weird.
I would think so.
Maybe it won in 2018. All right, Family Tree. I read
you
issue
go.
2 of Family Tree.
What'd you think of this?
I'm enjoying this. Phil Hester does the art, who I always enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know if it's Eric Gapster inking or whatever. His style feels a little different, a little more organic. I don't know. I really like it. But he did a book with
No,
Warren
it
Ellis.
is Eric Gapster inking?
No, it is. I don't know if that's what's causing the
Oh.
style to feel different,
Gotcha, I
or
was
if
gonna
Phil
say.
Hester is just mixing it up. I don't know the reason. But anyway, it's super cool. It's about this lady, and her daughter starts turning into a tree, and so she kind of goes on the run trying to get her to the doctor, and then people start trying to either capture her daughter or kill her daughter. We're not sure, but there's this weird cult that are trying to take her daughter, and then she runs into her father-in-law, and turns out that he is going to help her. His son turned into a tree, which is what's on the cover. The father-in-law carrying the son, and the son is her husband, obviously, but her husband left many years ago and abandoned them. Well, apparently the reason he abandoned them is because he was turning into a tree, and so Anyway, apparently it's a family tree. You get the thing because like the family
Oh.
are turned into trees for some reason.
Yeah.
So, but it's a pretty cool little book so far. Very fast paced. Like they're on the run and people are trying to capture the tree people. You know, blah blah blah. So, anyway, that's all I know. Family tree, very good. Or is my battery? What was that? 20%?
20%.
Holy crap! We gotta wrap this up. I had my phone charged at like 70.
You can always plug it in. It's not like there's a plug like freaking.
I only got a cord that reaches.
My God, that's like less than 6 foot, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you finally read this? Cool.
Yeah.
That was yours.
Finally, the last issue just came out.
Sweet.
Finally, it's about time.
Jesus. Did you buy it?
No,
He's
Well,
got
it's a
like
Marvel
Marvel
book.
Unlimited. He doesn't buy
I don't
anything.
buy
Oh,
from
have you
Marvel.
read it?
I have not. It doesn't come out for 6 months.
Oh.
Really? Is that how long that takes?
Yeah, it's like a
Unlimited?
6-month delay.
Tradmore is just
He's a beast.
holy shit.
Is it as good as Luther Strode though?
The artwork is just it's a beautiful book, dude.
Beautiful.
It,
It
like,
does. Just
all
these
I did-
covers. in
all I was
general
doing
look
was
pretty
staring
sweet.
at the artwork and the ink. You know what I mean? Like the lines and the artwork and the
Yeah.
color. Like that's all I
Wow.
did was stare at it. It's so
Very
good.
trippy.
It's,
It is,
It is.
but it's
like
pretty
it's
cool.
like that's what I think. Like I've never read the original Silver Surfer, but I imagine that's what it was like. You know what I mean? Like
Really
when-
trippy.
Yeah,
Was
Um,
it?
yeah.
I don't think it was.
I think it was. Everybody's like that
Hmm.
psychedelic Silver Surfer stuff or whatever. But
And
anyway,
who did you say did the art?
so Tradmore, he's that did Scott read
Luther
that
Strode.
Yeah, I did.
Luther Strode, but then he
Yeah.
did that other book.
New World.
New
I don't know if Scott
World.
read that or not.
It took him forever to draw that thing, but man, the artwork in this thing. So Donny Cates is the writer. The story is good too, which
That's convenient.
I don't know if he did that on purpose, but like it sort
For
of ties
making the story
into
good?
it sort of ties into Absolute Carnage.
Really?
So
Donny Cates writes that too.
yes, I know.
Does it?
So,
How much Cosmic Ghost Rider is in it though?
there's only like one panel of Cosmic Ghost Rider
Only
where
one
he's like
panel.
riding by on his motorcycle.
So Donny
love
Cates is
Cosmic
doing the
Ghost
new
Rider.
Thor book. Did Thor become the new Silver Surfer or something?
no.
Where's his hammer?
So Silver Surfer is. I remember exactly what this story is about. It's kind of cool. Like so, he meets Null, Knull, which is the god of symbiotes, which Null comes into play in Absolute Carnage, but he has like an encounter with him, and it starts to turn his hand black, and then like the more that he accepts the dark side of the cosmic power or whatever,
Is
from
there
the
dark
way I
side to
understood
the
it,
Cosmic Power? I
his
never knew.
whole arm turns black, and then I think like towards the end of the book he's like mostly all black or
Because it's called
whatever.
Silver Surfer Black.
Right. But
Mm.
it is cool because like so he goes and he finds is it Eon, the planet Ego?
Ego.
He finds Ego, and
Is Kurt Russell in it?
yes, Kurt Russell.
It
is in
looks
it.
strangely like Kurt Russell.
But Ego is like he said he had like a meteorite crash on the planet, and he's like got some problems on the inside of his planet, and something's not quite sitting well, right? So Silver Surfer goes into the planet and pulls out Galactus as a kid, like in his incubator hatch box or whatever, and so then he has the whole dilemma because he's like, I could kill Galactus now before Galactus does any harm.
But Galactus is a
whatsoever.
force of nature. You can't stop him.
Right. And so he actually has a conversation with Galactus, and even
You have to be
Galactus
nice, can't
has
be
been
planets.
was drawn beautifully in this book. Like,
Wow, as a baby.
because like,
Baby Galactus.
yeah.
Is it Baby
takes the
Galactus?
head off, it's Baby Galactus.
They should have like a
yes.
Baby Yoda, Baby
Baby
Galactus
Yoda,
team
baby.
up.
there you go.
But
Marvel
anyway,
has the rights to Star Wars.
it's
That's to both. There you go.
it was good. Like I said, but all I did was I pretty much just stared at the pages at the artwork because it's just awesome.
Interesting. It's a good
But,
strategy. Cool.
Which
Baby
ironically
Galactus.
is weird. I actually read that before I started to read Absolute Carnage, and it kind of tied into it, so I did something right.
It is weird.
Sort of, I guess.
Well, I don't think you did it right.
See, he's black on the. See how he's black on the last page?
I get it.
All
I understand
black.
the concept of turning to the dark side and becoming black. And the book is called Silver Surfer Black. It's not that hard to figure out.
It's all good.
Middle West.
Middle West,
Two.
book two.
Did you like it better than book one?
I think I did.
I did too. I felt like he established the world. Now we could just
And
kind of
now
tell
he
a
keeps
cool
going
story.
through there. It does have, it takes some strange turns there a little bit, but he's really. You're right. I like it, but it's pretty dark. I mean, it's really kind of doing a whole. What would you say? It's trying to be something there that's like a personal, almost feeling, and stuff in there, of how to try to deal with, either
Your inner turmoil.
yes, inner turmoil, the frustrations, anger, and trying not to be, your parents, or how some of this stuff passes down, and things like that. And, it's, like I said, it almost feels very personal in a way that he's
Well,
doing.
he said that it's like a kind of autobiographical, personal, about
Is it, in
his
some
his
respects?
own like struggles in his life and
Yeah,
with his
and,
parents
and reading
stuff.
that, it almost feels, a little difficult because of that, and some of the
Yeah.
strife and things. Now, granted, by the time that this one ends, he's kind of into that whole like boys' farm or whatever the hell
Mhm.
it is type thing, which can be a little scary and has maybe been done a little bit before in some ways. But the way that it was set up and goes to it, I'm really kind of digging. So. You're right. Where I thought the first one was a little bit more, I don't know, setting up something, maybe felt a little bit more run of the mill. I thought this really kind of was developing things a little bit more. And like I said, that whole personal feel just, really kind of, at least
Cool.
grip, for me personally anyway, kind of gripped there a little
That's
bit.
cool.
at
I
it
think
to
that's
go-
what he's going for.
To go, wow, this is almost hurts to read, in some respects.
I
You know?
worry that Scotty Young isn't a developed enough writer to really bring it
Nail
all
it.
together.
Yeah.
I think he's a good writer, but a lot of his stuff has been sort of simpler.
Well,
easier.
yeah, very simple.
Whereas this is a fairly dense story with
tongue-in-cheek
he's trying to kind of
things.
bring it together, and so it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure he can. I have no.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a great artist, and I'm sure he'll figure it out. But
I would agree.
it's
I
like,
think he can.
does he have
tell
the
a
writing
tale, but
chops
you're
to
right.
bring it all home?
Yeah, for something like like I said, is so. It just seems close to home, and whatever the heck else
Yeah.
can you do that type stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I appreciate that one. It's
Cool.
It's pretty good.
Middle West. I should
You
talk
do
about something.
Yes, you should talk about
I don't know
something.
what to talk about.
You
Oh, I
got
should
this
talk
big
about
ass
this
book.
one. Dynamo 5. Have you read Dynamo 5?
Read like the first trade.
This
This
is
is
really
the 2000s?
liked it.
it's such a good book.
There's
Image.
like,
What
is
did
this
you say?
all the spin-offs and
When
everything?
did this come
too?
out?
Didn't they?
I don't know if there's spin-offs. There's one limited series in here, and then there's like
Oh,
an
might be.
annual, and then there's like
What's the family book that he did? Like
Noble Causes.
Noble Causes.
This
That's what
doesn't
I'm
have that
thinking
in
of.
here.
No, but I have read, I think, the first trade of Dynamo 5.
So the concept of Dynamo 5 is pretty cool. So there's this like Superman type character, right? All these cool books start with that. And he died. Well, and he was married. Well, it turns out he was having affairs all through his career. And he fathered these 5 children. And so his his wife, his widow, finds these 5 children, irradiates them with the same radiation that gave him his powers, and each of these 5 offspring now have
Superpowers.
part of his power. Like each one has one of his 5 powers. So like one of them has telepathy, one of them can change his shape, one of them is super strong, one of them is super fast, and then I think can't remember this. Oh, the other one has like vision, like he can see X-ray vision, but can also shoot it as like a beam and hit people with it and stuff. So anyway, so you've got Dynamo 5. That's the name of the book.
Right,
so you got
right,
a team of 5 people. They're all basically illegitimate children of this
You
superhero.
set me up pretty good here.
And the superhero is dead, and so she takes this team, and she's kind of like what's the guy in Charlie's Angels who kind of pulls the strings? Charlie. But I thought what's the Bosco or something?
Bosco.
She's kind of like the Charlie who's like pulling the strings of this team, and she's basically using them as a replacement. Since her husband is dead, they have to now defend the city or whatever.
Okay.
So she's using them, and she's like she tells them where to go. She talks to them on the radio and kind of walks them through the strategy and stuff. So, but it's a cool, fun book about this team of people that are all half brothers and sisters. They have to kind of form a family and form bonds and kind of their interpersonal relationships and dealing with the fact that their dad was a dickhead, and now the lady, or they're the children that his wife is like helping them, but she's kind of has resentment toward them because they're like the reminder that her husband was unfaithful. Or
Okay,
whatever type of
okay.
thing. There's a lot of layers to it or whatever. But yeah, it's
How many issues did it go?
I think it's 20. I think it's like 30 because there's 25 issues and then there's like a 5-issue limited series.
Oh, really?
There's a couple of one shots and like anthology type
Okay,
things.
so
that
this
they
is
did.
pretty much everything, though. For the
Pretty
whole-
much. I mean, they claimed that it was going to keep going, but sales weren't there, and so it never really. I mean,
So does it have a decent ending then, so to speak?
it doesn't
or-
really end like
Okay.
a normal like book that was intended to end. I think
Okay.
he always said he was going to come back to it. But the artist is Mahmoud Azra.
And art's really good?
Yeah, he's super awesome. Mahmoud Azra. This is like his first major work, and now he works for Marvel. He's doing like their Conan book, and he did X-Men for a while. So
Oh, wow.
after this, he moved on to like Marvel types work, you know. And so I think that's what happened is they lost him like at a certain point, and then they brought a different artist in, and then
And it's,
it lost some of its magic, but it was still good. I mean, the writing was still there, which is a big
Yeah.
part of it. But you do kind of miss the art because I'm a big fan of his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, if you like Invincible, I think you would dig this. It's the same kind of it's like a new superhero vibe, you know, kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
Invincible. Obviously, it doesn't go as long, and it doesn't end the same way where Invincible
Right.
wraps up nice and neatly
Yeah.
or whatever. So this could keep going. Maybe someday Jay Farber is the writer. He'll come back to it, you know. I'm still waiting for him to finish Copperhead, so I don't hold out any hope. So, but anyway, he's a pretty good writer. He knows how to do like interpersonal type stuff. and all
Cool,
that stuff.
cool.
So yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Animal 5.
I got caught up on Batman.
Oh my god.
Bane.
Oh, yeah.
The big Tom King finale.
Well, he's still doing another series, isn't he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like a limited. He's gonna wrap it up in a limited series.
I don't know. I have not read the last issue. There's one more issue to go. I thought I had them all, and I sat down to read them. This is like a 10, 11 part story, and I read everything except the last one. It just hasn't come out yet. I thought 10 parts was enough, but apparently it's not.
Apparently not.
So this is like the culmination of like what he's been doing.
Yeah, it's like 80
For
issues or something.
80
isn't it?
issues for-
Yeah, 80
for
something.
his whole run, and it all kind of comes back to like what's happening here.
All
This
comes
really
back to
gave
you,
me
huh?
the vibe of like he just totally ripped off the third Batman movie.
Oh, Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, where Bane like takes
Takes over the city. What is called City
is
at
called
Bane?
City at
City at Bane.
But yeah, so like
That makes
Bane.
sense.
So
Well, didn't that kind of rip off No Man's Land in a way?
sure,
Okay.
yeah.
But Christopher Nolan, to his credit, had to go somewhere, though, to...
Well, this is after, so this guy ripped
But
off.
I mean, I'm just saying that if Christopher Nolan rips
Ripped
off
off No Man's Land.
No Man's Land, that's to be expected because they should have been taking comic book
Yeah, that's what they're
history
supposed to do. It's
to
they're
do
supposed
that.
to take,
You know,
yeah, no.
but this ripping off of a movie,
Which ripped
I
off
don't
of a
know.
comic.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know. That's
I
what
mean,
to be expected.
it gave me similar vibes. Like I'm like, oh, this reminds me of that. But so is what's happened is Batman's father, Thomas Wayne,
Thomas Wayne. Isn't he dead?
but not from another dimension.
Of course
Did he get
not.
shot
He's
by
from
Joker
another
or something?
dimension.
So there's another dimension of Thomas Wayne who has come back, and he's trying to teach Bruce that he shouldn't be Batman, that he should like live his life, and he's ruining his life. So him and Bane are kind of in this together, where they're teaming up to
bring
break
down
Batman,
Batman.
break Batman,
Break
So
him not physically, but mentally.
mentally. They've mentally broke down Batman,
Brilliant.
like they've
Love
destroyed
it.
him.
And by love it, I mean I
Wow.
don't.
And in doing so, they've gotten rid of him, and so they basically have taken over Gotham, and it's like the Joker and the Riddler and they're all cops, but they're not I mean, they're cops, but they're like bad guys. Like they just run the town, and like normal citizens run in terror whenever they show up. But basically, Bane is running Gotham.
Of course.
And all the bad guys are working for him, and they, like I said, they destroyed Batman, broke him down, and then it's almost like when Bane broke his back, he had to physically recover.
Yeah.
Now he's like mentally recovering, and he's got Catwoman is there with him
Of
to like
course.
help him and train him, because this is all kind of like a Catwoman thing, and I mean, this story's been around Catwoman, and
Really?
they had Catwoman and Bruce. Catwoman and Batman were supposed to get married, and then
Right.
it was the whole lead up to that, and then they didn't get married.
So this
And
continues
so-
on from that a little bit?
Yeah, this whole Tom King started on #1 when they rebooted Batman.
Okay.
And this is basically an 85, 90 issue run of his story.
His story, yeah.
And
where
it
he
all
went-
kind of, he's been building on it, and it all kind of ties in. I mean, there's elements from the very first issue
Wow.
that come back to play. But Drew ran away, but I guess we shouldn't say that because they can't see it on the radio. But
On the radio. How old are you?
on the Facebook. They can't see it on the Facebook. But so
So anyway, though,
Bane has put he's put an ultimatum on Gotham, and none of the government, the U.S. government, is behind Bane. They're like, oh, the city's fine, like they're running it, and we're just not going to get involved with it. So just let them do whatever they want
okay.
with Gotham.
Yeah.
And so they put an ultimatum on that no Robins are, because Alfred is still there, like he's still in the manor or whatever, and they have him captured. But if any of the Robins or any of the Bat family come into Gotham, I will kill Alfred. Like I'm just gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And
All
so that's the way he's trying to keep everybody out. But Damian doesn't play that way. And so Damian says, F it, I'm going in. He's not going to kill Alfred. Well, they kill Alfred. Spoiler alert, they kill Alfred in this book.
Oh, good God. He
But-
just spoiled the whole thing for you.
But then they do a thing where Alfred is like talking, and I don't know if they're flashbacks or if they played a ruse or whatever, because Alfred is he's like, hey, I'm safe. Don't worry about me. I'm safe. Just take care and do whatever you got to do. Well, it turns out it was all like he made that ahead of time to tell him so that Batman would do the right thing. And so apparently in the DC universe, Alfred is dead.
no.
Yeah, they killed Alfred finally. But
He had a good run.
yeah, he had a good
I'm glad he's dead.
5-year run. You're glad
Exactly.
Alfred's dead.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll.
What
be
will
back.
Batman do now? Now he'll have to deal with Catwoman. But I think they're going to replace Batman. I've been hearing rumblings that there's going to be a different Batman.
Wow. It's like they're out of ideas almost.
I know. Have you heard anything or read anything about this G5, I guess is what they're calling it? Like the next phase of the DC studios?
I've heard of it.
Okay,
The
I read
term.
like an article about it.
I haven't read an article about it.
How they're going to redo everything. They're going to start over with everything again
Did they
now.
just do that?
Yeah, they did. Well, 85. Actually,
Why
What?
does Bane though need
42
to be in the climax
'Cause that's
of these
double
things?
shift. So like 4.5 years
What
ago.
made him such a big DC or Batman villain?
I don't know. He was that
He
90s.
broke his back.
broke his
I
back. It was a big
know,
deal
but
back
ever
then.
And
since
then they had him in the movie.
Yeah, I agree
They
with
have
Scott.
him
I don't think
movie,
Bane is that
Batman
great of a
heads.
character.
I just
Or as that great of a Batman.
to
villain.
put him as your ultimate villain at the peak of your.
It should always be the Joker.
This is all just a playback to the. I mean, the whole thing. If the whole thing's been leading up to Bane breaking Batman, you know what I mean? Like the 80 issues. It's all a playback to the Nightfall when they broke his back
Yeah, when
originally
was that?
back in
The
the 90s
90s?
or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is.
It's
And they
just
broke
a-
his back, and then somebody took over as Batman.
Right, but
as real.
they don't
As
physically break him in this. They
Why, I
mentally
know
break
that,
him because I think this is. See, that's what I like. I don't know what happened when they did Rebirth and then they did the New 52 and they did all that crap. Like I kept reading Batman, but I don't remember it ever. I think they kept Batman the same and they just jacked with everybody else. You know what I
Well,
mean?
with Rebirth, they did that time jump. Like, Detective was, like, early for a while. Like, it was when he was first starting out.
Right.
Same how Action Comics was. Remember, it was like, but then they had the regular Superman and Batman books were like 5 years later, and so I think they tried to say, well, all the old Batman stories happened in that 5 years, and now we're going forward. But it's
Gotcha.
kind of like a reboot too, and they wanted
Well,
their cake and eat it too.
Right.
They didn't really-
Because I think in this,
They
if
just
I
make it up
remember,
too.
they're like, well, we already tried to physically break Batman and that didn't work. So now we're
Yeah.
going to mentally break him. But Grant Morrison did that. When he did that run, he mentally broke down the
Yeah.
Batman right around that
Well, what else are you gonna do?
new whatever.
Yeah.
It was the Crisis and all
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
shit. Which that was a great storyline. Like I
It
loved
was.
that Grant
Good
Morrison
stuff.
run on Batman. But anyway, I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's good.
It's better than just your monthly Batman catches Mr. Freeze and then Batman
Sure.
catches Clayface. I mean, it's a.
least
I
it's
kind
a
of like the
long,
idea of a
built-up
long
story.
built up. Like I like that.
Cool.
So anyway,
Nice. You only had to spend
like $900.
80 times $320 to get that story. That's cool.
Wow, that's
Well,
not bad.
actually, I'm up to 85.
Oh, so
tack on
add
another
20,
20.
340.
Well, it's still not bad.
That's-
I don't pay.
It's a small
retail.
price to pay for a Batman story you've read
Yeah.
before.
I don't pay retail, so you're talking
It's true.
So it's probably half that.
It's like
so-
half or
half of that.
or you know
See?
2/3 at the
And for
most.
2/3 of the time, I didn't even have to pay sales tax. So
That's true. You
there
weren't
it
paying
is.
sales tax.
Oh wow, where's the
But
Kansas
thank you.
IRS there?
Thank you, Senate and whoever passed the bill. Now
Yeah,
we pay
thanks a
sales
lot.
tax. Losers.
Losers.
Now I have to shop local. Might as well. It's saying I don't get my sales tax break.
Right.
Yeah, if you shopped Amazon, you didn't anyway. So.
Did you see they added a 2% sales tax to the
To the downtown,
downtown
area.
district around
They
the
yeah.
haven't
baseball
done
stadium?
it. They're proposing it.
No, I think they
I
voted.
think they
and passed
voted
it
to
today.
do it. Yeah.
It has to go to a general vote.
No, it doesn't because since it's like a district, I think they can just do it.
No, what I read was that it had to go to a.
I hope
vote.
so, but I just think
Yeah,
those
city
businesses
council
that are
vote. They just
down
voted
there-
for it
When today?
Yeah.
like yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday when I read it or heard
They
it.
passed it.
But
Now
yeah,
maybe they just passed it. Now it has to go to like a citywide vote, maybe. But I think it made it sound like it was already.
it made it
was-
sound like it was a done
It was
deal.
a done deal. It was going to happen in April before the
Yeah.
baseball stadium opened.
Those motherfuckers.
I just thought,
Well, I
holy
was
crap,
curious, is
'cause
that
all
gonna
those
affect, like,
places down there in
Century too?
Delano and things. It should.
But they drew it around the like old Gander Mountain
me-
building, so it
so-
was.
What do you? So how does this? This is totally not anything. How does that work? So is it just a 2% sales tax increase zone?
Yeah. in that
Yes.
zone.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
Who
like
the
a.
fuck's gonna shop there?
Well, because
Well,
it's
if
all
you're
those-
down there for the baseball stadium, you run to a restaurant
run
or you do
there.
something.
but it
then
does
you're gonna
kind of
have to
suck
pay
for all
that.
those little businesses there in that Delano area because
Well, I
think
thought they
it got
said
to
it
there,
didn't go all the
didn't
way to Delano.
Well,
like I think
the-
it stopped at some point, but I
it?
think it's
the baseball
partially in
stadium's
Delano.
right there.
Yeah, I think part of the Delano is, but,
So it was just kind of stretching right over there.
but
so
I don't know exactly where Delano starts and ends. You know.
Well, it kind of starts at Seneca, I thought, and kind of ended by McLean. But
yeah.
Well,
type of
McLean
stuff.
doesn't really exist anymore. in that
true. But I
area.
mean, that's where
So, yeah, I
the
don't
stadium is.
But it
Yeah,
sucks
so
if I
what
want to
would
go
it
to
look like?
Exploration Place or something. I got to pay like extra 2% now or something. I don't know.
Possibly if it stretched that far. I don't know. I need to
have
look
no
at the
idea.
map again.
Yeah, it's confusing.
It is kind of dumb.
Yeah, sorry.
Not about the same thing. I think I'm going to talk about this one.
Yes, finally, Morning Glories.
Yeah, I
Morning
haven't
Glories,
read
volume
so
8, 9,
you were
and 10.
smart and you read all the earlier ones before.
I
this.
did just because I like Morning Glories in general, and it had
I
been
bet that
so
helped.
long since I had read it that it was good to go back. You know,
I'm sure it would have been.
It
I
was
should have done
hugely important, I think.
Is
in
this
all this.
over or is there still more?
There are no more after this, but it's not really over.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a whole other 50 issues. Spencer always said he was going to do 100. So this should only be the halfway mark, but he just
Yeah.
hasn't gotten back.
Because quite frankly, the last one that they published was 50, issue 50. This gets you to 50.
Yeah,
But at the very end of it, you look at it and it says to be continued.
yeah.
And
And it leaves you on a huge cliffhanger. Well, not huge, but pretty big.
I don't know about huge, but it doesn't
Isn't
end.
she on an island?
Is for the problem. Yes, but I mean this is Morning Glories, so I mean everything is a huge cliffhanger in a lot of
It's
ways.
true.
So they're in okay. I really like Morning Glories, and going back and rereading it, I still like it.
Awesome.
But the problem that I have with it is that I think storytelling narratives in a way have changed
somewhat.
Since it came out.
Yes. Does that make sense? In
Yeah.
some way? I mean, because when it came out, you know, the big thing at that time was Lost and these kind of serial story, you know, type things, you know, with these
Lots
little
of mysteries
and trying
they
to keep
start
pulling you
reveal-
going in, you know, and stuff.
yeah.
And this kind of capitalizes on some of that too at the time.
It's very
you know,
much
as-
Lost meets Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, or
Yeah,
Buffy
something.
or whatever
Buffy,
the hell else,
something,
you know. But you know, you look at some of the stuff that we get now, you know, that are a lot of the binge watching that we get today, you know, or whatever, in which
Yeah.
you carry your mystery, but you don't carry that long. You give them a payoff, you know, or
Correct.
you throw a lot more out there.
Correct.
You know, reading, especially with rereading a bunch of stuff, I sit there and I go, holy fuck, he just doesn't tell us anything. You know, I mean, every time that he tries to even get to a point where there's a question to be answered, he adds 5 other questions, you know,
Yeah.
type stuff. And it just compiles and keeps compiling to the point of where it's almost, like I say, just from what I've used to now, maybe in reading something, it's almost getting to the point where it's almost like, just tell us, or frustrating to some
Because by the
respects.
time you tell us, it's never going to live up to the
You're
hype.
exactly
so
right.
if you drag out too long, it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot.
That's right. That's right. So that's probably the only drawback I really have. I still think overall, though, I mean, it, you know, this whole podcast has been somewhat in that respect of how to tell a story, you know, in
Yeah.
some cases. And Morning Glories tells it well. You know, it's got good pacing. It's got good characterization. You know, you buy into a lot of this type of stuff. You know, the characters have certain abilities that are kind of outside the norm. I like the fact that there's a lot of, would you call it philosophical type things in there? You know, I mean, he's trying to tell something where he's taking a lot, I think, of the different religions and stuff that are out
Yeah.
there, you know, and trying to put it in maybe more of a modern day spin. I think that maybe a part of that is what's frustrating because, you know, I know reading this, you would never get all the answers, period. Even if he got to 100, I can't see that he would totally wrap it up to say flat out, this is what it is.
Yeah.
He wants to have people, hey, make it as what you think,
Yeah.
which is okay. But in some respects, it's a little frustrating because I'd like to know a little bit more of, it sounds dumb, but what the individual group's end game a little bit more is.
Yeah.
That's a little bit on the vague side. And I'm
Yeah, I
sure
don't even
it's,
know the motivations of
that's
anybody,
right. And
you
you're
know?
not real sure
And you're
on
50 issues
why.
in, and you don't even know
Yeah.
what people are trying to
And
do.
you're like, okay, I got Abraham and his crew, and we got, you know, the headmaster and their crew. Why the hell are they even battling, you know? Or why is there, who really is the good guy and the bad guy? I mean, I'm sure there's reasons to keep it vague because I think it may be some of this respect of different forces in general, you know, call it heaven, hell, whatever the heck else
Yeah.
type things, you know, which I kind of like, but it is a little on the frustrating of, what are you really wanting to tell? I mean, throwing in, you know, especially going back through it, you know, there's, when certain things would happen, you know, touching the, I call it the collider or whatever the hell,
Yeah.
that big freaking, you know, sphere type thing, you know, and you see these weird pictures of things that happen through time. What the F is that for? It's kind of neat, you know, and you think it is, but 50 issues in, you still haven't explained why the hell this timey-wimey shit's going on and who's what, you know, type things.
Yeah.
And what the hell
Well, I
is
think it
going
was-
on with Danielle Clarkson or whatever, is that her name? Basically, it's Casey, you
Yeah.
know, when she goes back in time and goes back, you know,
Well, see,
type things.
I don't know if I was supposed to know that before, but I finally realized that the teacher is Casey from the
Yes,
future. And did we know that before this arc?
we did. You
Okay.
did know that.
See, I think I had forgotten that, or I
Yeah.
hadn't caught it the first time
Yeah.
around.
No, you knew it.
Because at one point I'm looking through, and I know Joe Eisma, he's a great artist, but sometimes his characters aren't distinctive enough, you know? And I'm like, why is Georgina this evil person? And then there's this Danielle Clarkson who looks just like Georgina.
Yeah, it's probably.
I'm like, are they supposed to be the same character?
yeah, no,
Are they?
no, they are definitely not. I think
They-
some of it is to try to.
Then why-
Well, at least my feeling is that it's not. He could have some weird twists there, but.
But they're not. So why would he draw them so similar? They look almost exactly the same.
the idea, there was a particular. I think Nick Spencer wanted that, you know, in a
Why?
way.
That's confusing.
Because
Because when you read it, you're like, is this Danielle
Which
or
one
is this
is this?
Georgina?
But
And I gotta like wait for
I
him to say
think
something.
part of it was to try to have her character be able to step in for Georgina, because they were basically after kids at the time.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
it was that kind of confusing.
So was she
type
trying
thing.
to pretend
type
like she
thing.
was Georgina, like be a
In some
doppelganger
cases,
in
if
some
she
cases?
could.
Okay.
I think.
And that makes sense, but I don't know that.
Even though I don't know
take
that she
up.
really used it a whole lot, but I think there was cases where she was trying to
Alright.
use that to her advantage
Yeah.
to play both sides, of whatever was going on, in this whole chess piece game of trying to gather the pieces.
Yeah.
So I think my bigger problem is that sometimes I can't with Eisma here again, like you said, I don't see it. I like his style, and I like a lot of how he individualizes. I think some of the characters. I have a harder time with telling age, so to speak.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
In particular with Casey, when she did go back
Yeah.
and she did that thing, then she comes back to the Morning Glories or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, she has 10 years worth of memories in there.
Yeah.
Did she age? Did she not? I'm assuming she's not because of the way that the characters interacted with her. They
Yeah.
didn't say, "Wow, you look older" or something. So
Yeah.
I guess she came back there, but it was just hard to tell because she's kind of I don't know, looks more of an adult female anyway in general.
Sure.
The way that he draws her, so that was probably more my difficult factor there.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I find though where this one kind of goes to the climax. In general, it was a good lead up there. The poor truants or whatever the hell
Yeah.
that you want to call them. I mean, they're pretty much their story is all pretty tragic. I guess
Yeah.
the way that a lot of it kind of wraps
Yeah.
up, which is interesting because it really doesn't have for some of the setup of them. It's like you really felt like you didn't get a great payoff on some of them.
Yeah. Well, at some point, I know that he introduced all those characters, and I'm like, they really added a lot of complexity to the story.
I think so too.
I would almost said just stuck with the original six
And just keep going.
that going. And
Yeah.
I didn't need all these new characters necessarily.
I
'cause
would
it really
agree.
added a lot of complexity.
And because then it
that I
added
didn't
all
need.
that and the backstories and all this other
Yeah,
type of stuff
I'm
that came in there, which really I felt like slowed down some of what
Yeah.
he was trying to get to.
Correct.
And the whole meeting with the headmaster that Casey has at the end of this one, while kind of cool, really I didn't feel add much to his story in general. It's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, well
He
okay.
didn't really tell us anything.
I would agree. Exactly. And I think that may be the part back there again with the frustrating thing is it feels like as much cool things that are in here, I don't know that it's telling me anything. I feel like at the end of 50 issues, I knew as much as I did after reading the first issue in some cases. Maybe a little bit more because of some of the powers maybe that the kids have.
Yeah.
But even those aren't very well explained, and I don't even know
No.
what the hell the kids really have power over.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So.
So it's still good. It's still digging it. I wish they would go on and do something more with it because I think there's a lot of potential there that was
Yeah,
never
it's been
truly
off for what,
fulfilled.
like a couple?
I
at
think
least
it's at
3
least
or 4
4
years.
years, I think now. So yeah, it's a good long time. I mean, it'd be great if they could get back to it, but it's that whole creator owned thing though. I think too that kind of causes the problems there.
Definitely. All right, we're
So
gonna.
thank you.
Yeah.
Drew, what else you got?
All right, so we're out of time. We're pushed up on 2 hours, so let's go ahead and all my devices are running out of charge.
That is true.
Let's go ahead and just do rapid fire with whatever you guys got left.
What you got left?
I don't have anything I need to talk
Nothing
about.
that you want to talk about?
Nah, it's mostly single issue stuff and nothing. That
And nothing that you really want to just say, hey,
Nah,
this is
nothing
great.
I really even remember or thought that was like super great. Or I mean, a lot
I
of
just
it's
want
the
to
middle of the
mention
story.
this. So it's Batman,
More Batman.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Okay.
3 by Freddie Williams.
Yeah.
I even read more Batman. I didn't bring it. I read the Batman Who Laughs.
That art
series.
looks really cool. Like,
Yeah.
Freddie Williams.
So this is the third Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle team up. This one's interesting because it goes to the Crisis on Infinite, multiple universes in Crisis. So so they have basically Krang is like the anti-monitor, like combined together, and so they bring in another. So they go back to another reality where it's the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they're actually in black and white.
oh my
It's like
god.
Raphael, and they bring in Kevin Eastman to do the artwork. So it's like anywhere that the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle is, like he does the artwork. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, obviously it's a I buy these because I don't expect much out of them. They're a fun read, and I love
Yeah.
the Freddie Williams artwork. I just thought it was a cool way for the third series to go and do the Crisis on Infinite Earths and there's even a scene in there where it's like the sky turns red, and the Wraith is like, "Why is the sky red?" Because they have the red sky. But anyway, if you like the other ones, you'll like this one. The art's awesome. And with what's his face in it too, Kevin Eastman. So
Cool.
and
Well, I'm not going to talk about anything else because I think what I can do with Elephant Man is just borrow the next volume and then I can talk about those in the
All right,
next one. So.
I mean, we can talk about it. We got time.
Ah,
wasn't trying
no,
to,
that's all good.
I want to talk. finished
I
up
think
letter
he's got a
44.
lot of interesting
Well, no,
stuff
it's
here.
fine. I'm
So-
just gonna do this and then I'll be done. But so I finished letter 44.
So this is
volume
the
2
end of
and
the
3.
series then?
Yeah, it only ran for like 35.
And it actually wraps up here
Yeah,
then with a
it wraps up
true
and
ending.
ends.
satisfying.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean,
I loved your setup there that you told me about on book 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
This one kind of interests me a little bit.
okay, well, if you're
What do you think?
interested.
What did you think about it though overall? I mean, yeah,
I
go ahead,
liked
talk
it.
about that.
It was a good story. So like the second book, they kind of run a little bit together, but I think the end of the first book that I talked about, the new president was debating whether or not, or he did, like, release the new weaponry or whatever.
Right. You were talking a little bit about that.
So in book 2, it goes right into it. So that has started World War III, basically. All the other countries are like, oh, we should have this too. And
Okay.
there's also a twist with the former president where he's kind of working against the United States now with other countries, trying to get the weaponry back
technology?
in the technology so that they can be ready for the aliens whenever whatever happens. And so I think like the whole second book is kind of basically dealing with World War III. Now some of the other countries have the technology, so now they're back all on the same kind of level playing field, and it's just shit getting blown up. But then it also plays into the so you have two scenarios going on. You have what's going on Earth where they're trying to prepare for the aliens, and then you have the space crew that has gone out. They've made contact with the aliens. They think that they're good, but then they're not. So there is an ulterior motive from the aliens. But it's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to spoil a whole bunch if you are interested in reading it. It's not like, but
no, go ahead.
Well,
'Cause chances are by the time I read, I'll forget all
basically
about it.
this alien race, they have mastered everything. Like they basically perfected. There's no illness, there's no death, there's none of this. And so like they've gone to a place where it takes energy to expand, and they don't have any more energy because they're limited where they are. They've maxed everything out. And so they try to create their own energy, or they find a way that they can get the energy, but they fuck it up somehow. And it basically is what it does is it sends out a ripple through the entire universe or whatever. And it's basically like going on a spiral, eating planets. And so they're trying to stay ahead of it, because every time that they prevent it, or I lose a little bit of it, but every time they prevent one from happening, if they do it for like 1 billion years, like if they destroy one every year for 1 billion years, they'll finally defeat it. So they're like on this 1 billion year quest to like get rid of this problem that they started.
Okay.
And so the Earth just happens to be in the way of this wave that's coming.
Right.
So they're there not to necessarily save the Earth, but the Earth's still going to die, but they can do something where it'll affect this wave. And if they do it forever, then because they have all the time in the world,
Right.
apparently.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, it does end, and it acts like it's going to go one way, and then it kind of goes the other way. So it was a little bit surprising, like how it ended, because you don't think it's going to end this way, and then it does end a different way. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a fairly quick read. I mean, I tore through.
Really?
I tore
Okay.
through them fairly quickly. I mean, I was on break, over
Yeah,
the
holiday
holiday
there a
or
little bit,
whatever. But I liked it. The art's pretty good.
It does look like it.
And like I said, I really liked the story. I think that what's his name, Soul, what's his
Soul?
Charles Soule. I really dug this story, and I think I've always kind of enjoyed his stuff, but this was a pretty
Cool.
good story. So I didn't bring the first one, but if you are interested in reading them, let me know, and I can. I'll let
Yeah,
borrow
you
them,
might have
but,
to keep those on a
But I think it's a
short
good
list there
story.
somewhere. Yeah.
So
It just
I
looks like
enjoyed
something
it.
that's more up my alley, type
Yeah.
of stuff.
I think you might like
In
it.
those. Type
Matt
of
was reading it too. I think Matt really liked it.
Yeah.
So
Well, if Matt liked it, I'm sure I'll like it.
I'm sure you'll like it. You and Matt had the same taste. You both like Invincible.
Invincible, Morning Glories. I think we both did.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
But I read Absolute Carnage, and I didn't get to the last issue. I have one more issue to read of Absolute
Of course you
Carnage.
do. Wow, if you had saved Batman Absolute Carnage for like next time,
Next
that'd been
time.
awesome.
There you go.
Just wrapped it all up.
But I won't remember what happened in Absolute Carnage. But it's another Spider-Man story, basically.
Yay.
So.
Yay.
But I'm done.
Cool. I'm done too.
Sweet.
Are you done, Scott?
I am.
We
Go see
were
Knives
sweet.
Out.
Knives Out. I've heard good things, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right.
Me also.
Bye.
Bye.